Hi. And we're live, very suddenly. Hi there. My name is Conrad Curry. I'm here commenting at this year's 2022 Maryland Open. It's great to be here at the Westminster Town Mall.
Hi, I'm here with him. I'm Philip Phelps, and looking forward to 2 more rounds today and another 3 rounds tomorrow.
We didn't cover the first game. After all, we're still trying to get placements and everything. But we're going to be covering table number 1. It's going to be a Space Wolf and Tyranid game. We're going to be covering that shortly when everything gets underway. That should be in the next maybe 15, 20 minutes. Today at the tournament, we're really seeing just a lot of diversity with the number of armies.
Yeah, there's been a surprising amount of diversity. I was coming in expecting to see a lot of Tyranid and Tau, and they've made a strong show. And
there's a lot of them.
What I was surprised to see, demons even showing up today.
Yeah, we got some demons. We even got a sisters player.
Couple of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we're not seeing more. Some of the metagame is like really healthy right now, but unfortunately the Tyranids have been kind of a big deal, one would say.
A little bit.
Leviathan really taking the cake. Really can't wait for those some of those data sheets to come in and kind of get the meta doing something different.
Yeah.
But we're seeing, if anybody's curious, we're seeing High Fleet Leviathan coming up in this next match on table number 1. Should be a good example of just exactly what's going on in the meta. But let's see, what else?
Speaking about the event a little bit itself, this is a 6-round event over these 2 days, and we are, instead of using match points as a tiebreaker, like is most commonly done, we are trying out using opponent's match win percentage as the first tiebreaker instead.
So tell me how that works.
So instead of, in most tournaments they use battle points, and that is very good for determining a game, but it has some weirdness where if you play against a weaker player, you get rewarded doubly so. Mm-hmm. So instead of
stomping in Timmy's face.
Instead of stomping in Timmy's face and then also getting better breakers, we look at the strength of your schedule. If you're winning close matches against very, very good players, you should be rewarded for that. And so we are instead looking at how well your opponents did in the rest of the tournament to determine these tiebreakers.
Yeah. So we were talking to some players after the first matches. We were going around kind of just chit-chatting up the groups. And what we really found was that a lot of people were going, man, I got beat. And I really, really have to do well for my opponent, because otherwise it's going to go bad for them if I lose over and over and over again. So it's actually really encouraging some sportsmanship, I was finding.
And it lets you play out games in a different way. You don't have to worry about how do I win by the most. You can just be like, how can I win this game? And that, I think, is very healthy, and it lets some lists that may not have otherwise thrived show up.
Yeah. We're seeing, so far, we've only had 1 game, of course, but so far we're not seeing any, no one seems to be ruffling any feathers. We're seeing a lot of good sportsmanship out there, lots of communication, people being real good to each other. That's always encouraging to see.
Yep. Turning our view to the actual round 2, they're going to be playing Data Scry Salvage as the mission, which is a 6-objective mission, and it's diagonal setup, which is one of the weirder setups that you can end up with.
That one's always the fun one, right? You get the really deep backfield.
Yeah, 24 inches apart at the widest, but it's a pretty deep backfield, and with the player placed terrain that they are using, you actually get a lot of opportunity to hide your forces and move up more strategically.
And we're seeing some very interesting objective markers this year. Last year we just had your general, make a marker down on the table. They were, I believe, wooden chips last year, or maybe plastic chips last year. And people would just have to measure out from the 3-inch. Now, this year, we're using 6-inch wide neoprene mats, which have been popularized online through various, just kind of gaming channels. But you can have custom images painted on them. And
I believe one of the players last round had like the faces of his family,
the faces of his children on the map. Which, not judgment. I would love to see my kids more often, but it was a little disconcerting for us when we had to stare down the top down at it. It's just a kid's face staring at you. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a good look. It's a good look. The 6 objectives means I think we're likely to see a lot of Stranglehold. It plays well into these 5 and 6 objective missions.
What's Stranglehold? Tell me about Stranglehold.
Stranglehold is probably the most popular secondary right now anyway, but it is, you get points if you, at the end of your turn, if you hold at least 3 objectives and more than your opponent. And on 5 and 6 objective missions, you're likely to be holding 3 of them anyway, and you need to take your opponents off them to win, because that's how primaries work.
Good way of getting points. Yep, absolutely. So it's real consistent.
It doubles down on what you already have to do. You see it a lot less on the 4 objective missions, because then you have to fight over more tightly contested objectives.
Makes sense. So Phil, give me some background. Like, what do you play when you play Warhammer 40K?
So my biggest army right now is Drukhari. I've actually recently expanded because I have been enjoying the Army of Renown, the coteries of the Homunculus.
Ooh, spooky boys.
Very fun. I also have a small GSC force, and I used to play Tau a while back. I sold out of them before I got back into the hobby when 9 came out.
So GSC, that stands for Gene Stealer Cult.
Yes. Gene Stealer Cult.
It's a mouthful, so you understand why we're abbreviating it. But, for anybody that doesn't know what GSC means.
Who's never played against them, which is, most people.
They're not the most popular army. And, and truth be told, they're a very difficult army to play, as you were intimating to me.
Yeah. They are about as squishy as guardsmen and don't have the bodies to support losing as many.
Certainly not the tanks, that's for sure.
Right. So you have a lot of very impactful decisions with them, which is very fun, but also very exhausting sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a large part of why we don't see them show up in huge numbers of these tournaments, but we do have a player.
We do have one. We have one today. And we were talking to him. Unfortunately, he ran up against one of the big meta players, meta list. I nearly said meta decks. Meta players today. I went up against Tau, and unfortunately, Tau are very strong right now. So. And
they have a lot of, even with the nerfs, they run a lot of indirect fire and some other things that just make that matchup incredibly difficult.
It's a hard one for Gene Stealers.
I've placed that one a few times. I don't think I've ever won that game.
Absolutely. Now, myself, I play Night Lord Chaos Space Marines and Tau myself. Because any good righteous player will know to play for the greater good.
Of course.
And I have in my history played Tyranids, of course, but not not when they look this good. Now, let's go over exactly why Tyranid High Fleet Leviathan is so good right now. So, importantly, Tyranids have a mechanic called Synapse, which is kind of like a field of control that they can generate around themselves, and you want your smaller units to be near your big units, and it's just kind of almost described as a weak point in an army. An Achilles heel this army was built to have. You were supposed to be able to knock these kind of creatures out of the game, and then the little smaller bugs would run in fear. So tell me, why is this not how this works anymore?
So, Tyranid warriors are a troop choice that is Synapse. Which means you can field entire armies that don't need to be in Synapse range of another creature, so you don't have this weak point. And specifically, High Fleet Leviathan gives extra durability to Synapse creatures to help prevent them from losing control. Instead, you just take all big creatures, and they are a monster to try to move off this board.
Very difficult. We had a player talking to us about it earlier, and he couldn't do almost anything to a High Fleet Leviathan list just because they were so tough. And it's a little frustrating to hear that, but there are lists that can get around it.
Yeah.
It's just...
I think that's a large part of why we're seeing as many Eldari as we do. Their shuriken weapons with the... they have Rendon and stuff. They don't rely on getting low rolls to wound them, like increasing their ability to wound. They rely on a number of shots that have good AP because they rend.
And not only that, but like auto wounding weapons and stuff like that.
Things like that get around the strength of this essentially transhuman effect where Synapse creatures can't be wounded on better than a 4 regardless of the strength of the weapon.
Yes. Very rough. So we're hoping to see, some things, but right now in the meta, Tyranids are just overrunning everything. And if you think that's fitting for the fiction of the setting, I mean, it's kind of accurate.
Yeah. But in competitive play, I think we would like to see a little more diversity from that. But in general, they've been doing okay on those diversity.
Last year, it was all Eldar. Let me tell you, it was a lot of Drukhari, a lot of Ynnari, and
definitely movement in the right direction.
Sure, I think this year we're getting much more diverse. Admittedly, as much as we're talking about Tyranids, they are not actually the most represented faction, which, as for most tournaments, I think is Space Marines.
Yeah.
This year, though, last year it was actually the Dark Eldar who were hands down the biggest. I think we had nearly 30 players showed up with Dark Eldar. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So, but 9th edition was pretty new back then, and new codexes codices, I should say, were very, very powerful because the majority of the factions were running off their 8th edition codices, and so.
Yeah, we're running out of new codexes for 8th edition. Chaos gets there soon.
Oh, and there we are. We got our new. We got our next game running.
Looks like they're getting their terrain set up still. Player place terrain creates an interesting dynamic because it allows a little bit of expression even before the game begins and your strategic thinking. Knowing where you want to be able to move up, where you need to defend yourself using the terrain. And so I think it creates a game even before the start of the game. And
they're even talking right now. They're kind of complaining about they're running out of room to put all this terrain down.
Yeah.
Now this is new because last year we had preset terrain. We had here at the event we had previously just set everything down, try and save time, and went forward with it. But this year we're going to be going with a player set terrain, which I always like. I like it because it really helps a player really kind of express themselves, like you were saying. I feel like
it also, I think it helps a lot with the number of Knights players who showed up. Because Knights can get really, really unfortunate sets of terrain where they struggle to be able to move efficiently through them because their bases are just so big.
Well, it's
so being able to player place helps you affect that a little bit and not struggle to, play the game, which is good because we have a healthy amount of Knights here.
Lots of Chaos Knights, and the new Codex dropped just recently, and we're seeing they are impressive.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, I wouldn't say oppressive, but impressive. The Chaos Knights, they're definitely packing a punch. As you can see, our top down, we got our guys, they're
working on it.
They're tournament players. They're measuring out where they want to even put their terrain.
Also, you have to have 4 inches between pieces of terrain.
Absolutely. So they're trying to keep things legal. We've got good players this year. All right, we've got deployment started up.
Keeping a little bit in reserve from the Space Wolves, but nothing from the
he's going all out.
He's starting ready to go.
Nothing burrowed. I mean, Leviathan doesn't need to. They can just walk right up the field half the time. They're so tough. They wade through,
everything. That's kind of the problem. But yeah, they're going to be getting started with their deployment now. And
they got Stranglehold, I believe one person mentioned.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Like we said, it's a very common
secondary. Trying to get the rest of
secondary.
them as soon as we can.
So normally we get 3 secondaries and a primary.
Yeah, secondary is very popular. I think there's a good chance we see engage on all fronts, which is trying to get into table quarters. And then usually the last one is often going to be something from your codex.
Yeah.
Space Wolves, I'm not familiar with either of the codexes enough to know what their secondaries are, but that's usually where they come from. The other popular choice might be to the last, but neither of these armies play into that as well, I think. So I guess the Tyranids might.
Yeah. We'll be getting the roster and the official secondaries in soon. We've got shout out to Nick Wright, who is helping us with this. He's going to go in there into the action, getting us much needed information. Battlefield intelligence.
we do have the lists already. We don't have their secondaries, but we can take a look at their lists a little bit. And we're seeing from the Tyranids, it is a Leviathan list, looking pretty heavy on the warriors as you would expect. Looks like he has foregone the almost traditional at this point 3-3-9 for a 6-6, and then taken some gargoyles, which I don't always see.
Well, gargoyles, I mean, they're fast. They can get in there. They can capture points.
He might be using them especially for objectives. The ability to move around, especially if he wants to take something like retrieve knockwind data or another secondary that requires you to do objectives spread or actions spread around the map, is a good way to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's my guess is why he's bringing them, but it's hard to say for sure.
Any HQ that we might be looking at that are pretty cool or anything, or just standard Hive Tyrant?
He's bringing Hive Tyrant with wings.
Yep, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean, just solid.
Do what works. Do what works. You're not graded on creativity necessarily here.
Good thing we're not sometimes. Oh no, I believe he is not actually bringing a flying tyrant. He's just got his standard Hive Tyrant.
Big old stompy, huh?
I don't see any wings on that one.
We'll see when he. I mean, it looks like it's got wings.
I couldn't tell if that was the Hive Tyrant or something
else. Luckily, bright green, bright yellow. We're gonna be able to see him.
Oh, he has both. He has a winged Hive Tyrant and a non. Okay, there we go. And Northrop for the powers. We're not seeing two of those anymore because of that one recent fact that fixed some.
The data sheet did a lot.
Yeah, but so and then coming out of the Space Wolves. Wow, we have Bjorn the Fell-Handed, so character dread.
Bjorn, I believe last year I was talking big stuff about Bjorn when he went up against a Chaos Knight. No, it's Keeper of Secrets. Keeper of Secrets. I was talking big about Bjorn, and that Keeper of Secrets took him apart. So we'll see if Bjorn's going to get a redemption this time. We'll see.
We'll have to see. And then just your standard Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf and Chaplain. Nothing too out there.
Big up woo-woos.
Your standard, we want to hit things with axes. Nothing wrong with that.
Some people might argue.
I like axes. I'm a big fan.
Big fan.
I like throwing them more than hitting people with them mostly, but
That's always fun.
Yeah.
So, let's see. What else? Anything? Just Thunderwolf Cavalry, all that jazz?
Thunderwolf Cavalry, a couple Wolfman packs. The long things that he put into reserve, we heard.
Now describe Long Face. What exactly?
They're very similar to Space Marine Devastators in that they're the heavy weapons squads for the Space Wolves. He's got them packed out with multi-melters and grab cannons, so they're probably his big anti-tank.
Or arrive and mess something up.
Yeah, he's probably trying to bring them on in a turn or two, using that as a way to protect them.
Yeah.
And then bring them on and take down one of the problem large creatures as best he can. How well that'll work, we have yet to see, but that's probably what he's thinking. And if he left them out, there's just a lot you can do to try to take them off the board before they can have the needed effect on the game.
All right. We got some guys deploying in terrain, but we got to squat out in the open. And also the Tyranids he's just deploying those out there. I guess whichever one of these Hive Tyrants, they both have wings, but you said that he only statted one with wings?
They might be, I'm trying to figure out what else he has that would have wings. Trying to read through this list as fast as I can. So that's one wing Hive Tyrant, that's one not wing Hive Tyrant. He has two winged Hive Tyrants and a non-winged Hive Tyrant.
We have a little bit of a mistake made. He has to actually put that piece of terrain wholly within his deployment zone, which means it needs to go back past. For anybody who's unaware, the dice you see lined up on the map, towards the center and further up, you can't see why. I don't know why I'm pointing. The dice that you see on the map that are kind of lined up in a row. They're not the ones jumbled up in the corner. Those are denoting the deployment zones. Now, you can only deploy units wholly within your deployment zone. But there's also special rules for terrain and whatnot. As you're crafting as player crafting terrain, you can obviously tell someone has made a mistake at this point. And that's fine.
Well, it's early enough in the game. It's easy to fix.
He admitted it himself. He's fixing it himself. Obviously, this is very good sportsmanship. Even these small things should be applauded. We should, definitely call them out as being good things that players are doing. We're seeing a lot of really good sportsmanship today. I've been talking to some players, and no one's had anything bad to say. We watched two players who fought each other, and one of them lost very badly against the High Fleet Leviathan. He turned around. He was like, "Oh, you beat me! It was a great game." You're always happy to see that.
Yeah. It's what you want to see at these tournaments. You don't always get to see it in some of the other hobbies. I have seen some very salty Magic players in my time, so when you get to see them just happy to be out here and playing, it's a good day.
People who are addicted to things should be, we should have a lot of sympathy for them.
Yeah, fair. When you're addicted to cardboard crack, it can be tough.
All right. Well, we got. That's a big scary Maliceptor he's putting on the board. Now, those are also the big scary thing from the Tyranids right now. Now, why? They're mortal wound, just generators. They're just real scary.
I honestly don't know the exact rules from them, but they can put out an scary amount of mortal wounds. They also have a very powerful psychic phase, which can be relevant. It also opens up a couple options in the secondaries if they choose to go that route with like psychic interrogation and stuff like that, which gives you another axis to play on if your normal secondaries aren't particularly good into a certain opponent.
Oh yeah. If you're dealing with some sisters who are all, every single thing they can do, they can deny you and stuff like that. Sometimes you don't really want to rely on yourself.
But it gets you some extra options and gargoyles. Small winged creatures have always been a tricky thing to deploy, not because they aren't useful, but because they never fit together very well.
Let me tell you. Most Tyranid things. Now, like I said, I used to play Tyranids, and I remember modeling these guys. Oh my God, what a mess! Everything is leaned real far over. Everything's got big wings and claws and everything. And you're trying to shove them all close together to try to pack them in somewhere. You get some paint chipping and models falling over. It's a big mess. It's always a big mess. That's why I like my towel. Nice straight edges. Very
clean, stays
compact.
above the base. Yeah.
It's convenient.
Yeah, we have some of that in the Drukhari. Our the flying units we can take, our flying heavy weapons units. They're very finicky and very top heavy, which is not useful on a tall model.
I mean, I would even think what's the ones that ride on the spiky hover bikes or whatever they're called?
I'm blanking on the witch unit.
Raiders?
No. Ravagers are the ship.
Starts with an R.
No, it doesn't. Maybe it does? I don't know. I have to check this now because I'm, as a Drukhari player, a little bit offended that I can't figure this out.
No. I called you out.
You did. I play mostly Coven, not witch cults.
Yeah, there you go. So
that's not gonna be helpful.
The goopy, scary boys.
Hellions. There we go.
Hellions. Yeah, of course. Now you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, obvious.
Duh.
Those guys. Oh man, so many Hellions. And the succubi coming out of the raiding ships last year. Man, those were it was everywhere. All over the place, everywhere.
Yeah.
So we can see. Oh, he's packed a lot of warriors up in that one piece of terrain. That's actually a second story. Underneath all of those.
Was I think another unit of raiders.
You can see him putting him in. That's his own thing.
Oh, that's his own throw right there. But yeah, I think I saw him put other warriors in there earlier. That's just a nice little package of death to open at some point, I'm sure.
Let's see. We got Thunderwolf cavalry over there on the left side getting deployed. Let's see.
Space Marines on there, puppies.
We can see Erik here. He's got the on the puppies.
On the puppies.
You can do it, puppies.
Yeah, they're a scary unit when they need to be. They are powerful close combat.
I mean, they're all about it. Thunderwolf's very strong, very scary. Get in your face, tear you up.
Yeah.
And very resilient. I believe 3 or 4 wounds on them.
I think it's 4. I'm not 100% on that.
Oh my god, they're so tough, and they're strong, and they come with thunder hammers, you know, and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Like every good close combat unit should,
it's
right?
scary. But we're gonna see how they
There's a
pair
couple
up.
lightning claws mixed in there too.
Ooh, good stuff, good stuff.
Give variety.
Yeah.
This is important sometimes.
Lightning claws, they're re-rolling to wound with an AP -2. Very strong, very strong. The Tyranids not benefiting from Armor of Contempt. That's the new rule that came out recently.
Probably a large part of the resurgence in Space Marines we have seen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The ability to ignore the first -1 of AP lets them actually stand toe-to-toe with the things
Really?
like they should have.
A clever solution. I gotta say, clever by Games Workshop. Instead of just upping the armor value for Space Marines, but trying to still kind of keep it at a 3-up general and trying to create some kind of gradience for the faction.
Well, they were running into an issue where they wanted to bring up the power level of some of the shoot-in, which is understandable. And one of the ways to do that is add an AP, and then they realized Space Marines couldn't stand up to what they should be.
Yeah. Well, they didn't.
Rather than release an entire new bulk, which takes time, and they haven't had the chance to yet, they just chose very intelligently to just give that small little bit to handle that new wave without making things that previously didn't beat them that much worse against them.
Yes.
All that AP0 guard shoot-in does just as well as it used to.
Yeah. Never.
Which, I mean, isn't
wasn't
great,
impressive.
but
Actually, that's another one. That Hammer of the Emperor just got buffed.
Oh, that's true.
They are actually doing much better.
that's true.
But luckily, this year we're not seeing the 300 conscript list.
Yeah, we had Deathcore Krieg playing on table 1 last round.
Yep, against Grey Knights, and apparently that was a very impressive game. Sadly, we kind of didn't record it, but we'll hopefully we'll see something just as impressive here. We're getting everything squared up, and I got Ooh, we are getting started.
Sounds like they're into turn 1. Handling command phase, Tyranid command phase has some choices to make.
We'll get some cards going.
Smart. Even if he's not bringing a librarian, the Space Wolf did know that psychic powers were a large part of the meta. He brought something with a Warlord trait, I think, that lets him deny. Warlord trait or Relic, I'm not sure which.
We'll see.
Ooh, taking an aggressive early choice there.
Planning on being in melee on turn 1. We're getting some call-outs.
Yeah, apparently this may be a fast game. We'll see.
We'll see.
Right away. So, to explain what I just did, Tyranids will be picking Synaptic Imperative every battle rounds. Okay. And all Synapse creatures have an aura that give this ability. So all Synapse creatures have an aura of 6 inches. Melee attacks of a 6 to hit, you score 1 additional.
Yeah.
For the entire
All right.
Well, we have someone cooperating with the stream. That's a new one.
When they do that.
I love it. It makes me so happy.
So, what he just explained to us was that all of the big bugs, the synaptic creatures, have an aura that gives every creature in it explode in 6s, where a 6 in close combat gets an additional hit. So that really ramps up some of the damage these units can push out. He's hoping to Alpha Strike and take it.
Yep. So it looks like the.
Alright. So it was Strangle, R&D, and Oath at the moment.
Oath's a moment.
So yeah, they were just talking about the Space Wolves secondaries. He chose Stranglehold, which we talked about earlier. Hold at least 3 objectives and more than your opponent. R&D, retrieve Nakmun data.
Yep.
Is an action you have to take. You have to be more than 6 inches from the center. And for each quarter you do it in, starting with the second quarter, you get increasing amounts of points.
And you can see they marked the center of the map so that we can actually measure from it, since it became
Now,
relevant.
right. And then Oath, I'm not 100% sure on, but I know part of the scoring is related to being in the center.
Yeah, it's actually a very varied kind of thing. It can generate a lot of points in a kind of a small variety of ways.
Checking his chaplain prayers, giving buffs to someone. I didn't catch who.
Being able to generate mortal wounds against Leviathan, very valuable.
Well, it was actually feel no pain against.
Oh, it's feel no pain.
It was
okay.
feel no pain against the mortals, which against the Maleceptor, as previously mentioned, and a few other.
I'm going to make a mild comment about Canticle of Hate. I didn't know that hating someone meant that you didn't get hurt as badly by them.
Canticle of he had 2 first. Canticle of Hate was the first one. That is a +1 to hit or reroll to hit. It helps hit in combat. I'm not exactly a Space Marine player, so can't tell you.
Neither am I.
Can't tell you the exact, but it increases your chance of hitting in combat.
Well, he ran those Thunderwolf off. He's taking that early objective, trying to get that Stranglehold going.
Yeah, Stranglehold as the first player is very easy to take on your first turn. You want to make sure you maximize those points as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
Because it gets a lot harder as the game goes on, and they get to also play the game.
And of course, the Thunderwolf, very good units to try and take up points with. Very tough, very durable, in even resistant to shooting. And of course, you put some of them in that terrain feature to benefit the squad, getting them a +1 to their armor save for people shooting into it. So. All right.
Talking about some details about the distance to make sure they're both on the same page as they move, which is a very good way to handle this.
We're also getting players who are kind of explaining to each other, hey, I've got this, I'm doing this could happen, just so you know.
This is exactly what you want to see from players, because the worst feeling is when you just don't understand something and you lose because you were like, I thought that was 13 inches away, and it's actually 12.
Yes, and also hidden stratagems and things like that are gotcha moments. We don't want to really see players doing that, but of course this is a tournament.
Yeah.
This is for marbles, so to speak. So people, you're going to do what it takes to win. We're not here to, players aren't here to be friends.
Don't pull your punches.
Don't pull your punches.
But, no one can know. There's, 30 different factions represented today?
Something like that. It's a crazy number of factions, all of them with different stratagems that do different and weird things. Some of them, some stratagems kind of just do the same thing. But
yeah, and that helps with the shorthand, but at the end of the day, there's just a lot to know about. This game is not easy. I'm sorry, it is 20 different factions.
20 different factions
represented, if you assume all the Space Marines are essentially the same faction, which there aren't. They have similarities, and they are built from a lot of the same base, but a lot of these supplements came with extra stratagems, extra relics, extra warlord traits, and all of that adds to the complexity. There is a massive
There is
amount
a
going
big
on.
difference between Dark Angels who show up with an all-biker list and Space Wolves who show up.
I mean, there's even a large difference between your Deathwing and your Ravenwing Dark Angels.
Absolutely. So
that's like 2 different armies in a lot of ways.
Yes. So, and I mean, props to GW for designing a game where you can really have, a lot of these different things. I mean, even the Tyranid game we're seeing here, we know Leviathans are strong, and this guy's playing Leviathan.
There was at least one player on, I think, Jormungandr.
Jormungandr. So we're actually, shout out to Adeptus Ridiculous, probably was the one that promoted that. It really seemed to like that one. So. Oh, okay.
Moving some people up, being aggressive, which I guess I shouldn't assume anything else from Space Wolves, but
no. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to do what you're good at.
Yeah. If you're not being aggressive, you probably let's be real. But definitely moving up, paying attention both to that Stranglehold objective and spreading out into the different corners to try to grab that Nath Moon data. He's probably going to have some issue getting the last corner. Not sure what his plan is for that yet, but we'll see.
Well, he's got the deep strike.
True.
Might
Well,
be able to
I
land
don't know if they're deep striking or outflanking or what, but depending on what it is, it could do quite a bit. Depends on how long he holds them in reserve versus bringing them in to try to put a little extra damage on the table.
Well, I assume he's going to be trying to come in from an unpopulated edge, especially.
I mean, he has to. You need to be 9 inches away.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but he's going to be wanting to use the ranged features of, like you said, those guys are coming in with some big guns. You want to be able to use them, and you want to be able to use them correctly, so to speak. So.
That's a number.
Unfortunately, those wolves only got a 1 inch on their advance. It's a scooch, but it's a, you know.
Every little bit counts sometimes.
Sometimes.
You gotta move him when you can.
Well, you can see he's not, I don't think he's approaching that nest of warriors overly enthusiastically. I think he's just trying to get his positions in. He's recognizing the real power behind that clump of warriors.
And trying to make them make a commitment to one direction or another and maybe play the objectives. He knows he's going to have trouble taking them off the board.
Yep.
So if he can get them to go one direction and maybe push the other, he might be able to do something that way and just play the objectives.
It's what you got to do. Look, I've played games where I've lost and my opponent had not a single model on the table left.
Yeah.
I've tabled an opponent and lost the game.
Yeah.
So
you don't have enough time left to score the points, and you're like, well, you
out.
played the objectives better. That's how this game works.
Yep. So we want to. I think we're going to see some excellent play from these players. We're going to. All right. No surprise, the Space Wolves don't have a ton of shooting.
Yep. Sounds like Bjorn missed with his multi-melta. And that was it. That was all of the shooting that is currently on the table.
All right, we're going to see a charge here from Thunderwolf Cav, or attempt to. We'll see.
He got that.
Nice,
He needed
roll a
exactly
10.
what he needed.
Ooh, that's going to really disrupt some things. He's going after the Venom Thropes, which are a rather scary unit. They can lay down some real pain. You really need to.
Not exactly familiar with what are they used to do? Like, I'm not familiar with their battlefield role. I don't have a lot of Tyranid experience here.
So Venom Thropes are a lot of auto wounders, and I believe they can put down mortal wounds. They're a little obscure. They're not kind of part of the. They are synapse creatures, so he's probably why they probably appeared in this list. But they are, from every edition I've ever seen them in, they were pretty decently scary. But you know, using these guys, throwing out some Thunderhammer hits to try and score some early hits and wounds. Because Space Wolves.
What else do you
Full
need?
rerolls. Looks like he hit every single one of those.
3-stab wound with his strength 8 versus toughness 5. And Thunderhammer is 2 damage, I think.
Thunderhammer. Oh no, 3.
3. That Thunderhammers took off most of that unit, and it sounds like Lightning Claws will probably be able to wrap it up. With that kind of rolling, I'm sure they will.
Goodness. Rolling fire for the Space Wolf player. Holy crap. Moving on 5s.
But re-rolling.
But re-rolling. Lightning Claws. Very potent, very potent.
Doesn't even need to re-roll. It was enough already.
Fantastic.
He was able to tag it with the upper unit. Okay. I was worried about him dropping his Stranglehold because he moved them off of the center objective, but he was able, it looks like, able to tag
Just
the top.
touched it, yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Up there in the top left. looks like those Wolven just landed on it. And he's consolidating into a, not necessarily another charge, but he's consolidating into close combat so that he traps them in and stops them from being able to do any ranged weapons.
But notably, because of how the rules work in combat, that Maliceptor will get to attack back right now, and the Thunderwolves can't do anything about it other than take their saves and hope it's not enough to cause problems.
Yep. Thunderwolves have three wounds each, so we're going to be seeing that. Oh, well, that's what it is. 2 up armor, 4 up invul.
Seems real good.
Tough. No, not Primera, so they're not going to be able to benefit.
Thank you.
Gotta love it.
I think someone did point out that he should be using the dice tray, which I was very thankful.
Can't blame them. They're used to rolling on the table.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Thunderwolf.
Good job,
Maliceptor putting in the work. Now, I don't know how, again, the Venom Throps disappeared almost instantly, so we never even got to see what those could do. But that's Space Wolves for you. I mean, they're just going to come in like a, well, almost like a Thunder Hammer.
That one. Can we do that on turn 1?
Ooh.
There's some.
Data intercept on turn 1.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me pull back up this rules. I don't believe they scored. I do not believe they scored on round 1, but
I'd be pretty impressed. A lot of these kind of things can't be scored on turn 1.
Progressive objective. Each time your army successfully competes, yeah. He's going to score 2 victory points here, it looks like, because it is points equal to the number of objectives you own in the no man's land, in neither deployment zone.
He gets 2.
So that's a solid start from the Space Wolves. It looks like they got about 5 points because they haven't started scoring primary yet, obviously.
No, that's at the end of round 1.
But solid start.
I got into melee, got disrupted. We'll see how those Thunderwolves fare. I think he might be throwing them to the wolves, so to speak. But
aren't you clever?
Yeah, I'm a smart one. But yeah, I likely those Thunderwolves aren't going to probably make it to the end of next round, but they're going to tie some stuff up. They're going to be.
It looks like unfortunately Erik wasn't able to get anybody into position to take the retrieve Knockmoon data because you have to be fully into the table quarter and fully 6 inches into the table quarter, so you can't just like straddle the line. So with that, he wasn't able to get anybody in there except for the one unit that was already performing the action for the retrieve data.
And I think this is a little bit of a tricky map to even do that on. Especially with Tyranids just lined up the front there. I don't know how he would have even gotten in that table.
Honestly, I believe this is one of the hardest deployments to do R&D on. I'm not a tournament player. He may have looked at his choices and decided it was the least bad. But I'm not sure I would have taken R&D, especially with also wanting to be able to do actions for the primary.
Yeah. So
he made the choice, and he's going to see what he can do with it.
Absolutely.
And then the Neurothrope is giving out roll 3d6 for psychic tests himself, as well as the Malice.
3d6 to psychic powers.
It's all the command phase
There's
things.
just so much good stuff in your hands right now.
Oh, man.
Their book is just so good.
Maliceptor's not going to move because then
See,
he can't
I just
use
wish
psychic
everyone,
powers.
instead of nerfing somebody, I just wish everyone would just get taken up, just taken right up.
What is it? Rising Tide lifts all ships?
Oh, yeah.
That is a dangerous road to go down.
What? No, nothing could go wrong from that.
Magic has no experience with power creep. It's not like there's an entire industry term about it or not.
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
never.
Nah, to an extent, I agree with you. There needs to be a limit to it, but I do agree that I would rather see armies buffed rather than armies nerfed, because it feels real bad when your army that you've spent so much time on drops out of contention.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly hard, especially if like a certain unit gets nerfed out of it. It gets real bad. It creates feel bads. Whereas if you're like, hey, this model you have that used to be good and right now isn't is suddenly good again, then you get to play with your old toys, and that's fun too.
Playing with toys. That's all we're ever really doing here, isn't it?
Yeah, we're just playing army men with a lot bigger budget. Let's be real. And a fun pre-game hobby too.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it's still army men.
Oh my God! Look at that! Oh.
Hi, Mr. Hive Tyrant.
Hive Tyrant out of the blue. Look at that. You love it. You love it.
I'm not sure the Space Wolves love it. We'll see. Guess it does save them the effort of running across the map. If
there's
they come to
his stompy Hive Tyrant right there. That was. You couldn't even see that.
Those wings can
block it out. Man, they can move.
They can. Hey.
They have 5 wounds each, right? Or 4 wounds.
4 wounds.
Good enough.
You know, you already do 5 damage over your failed impulse save.
Yeah.
Already gonna be a rough time.
Gargoyles up here.
Yeah.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
with the time limit, they only have 3 hours to play the round. I get trying to just move them as fast as you can. They're finicky on the best.
Well, now there's always the issue of cheating here because, and when I say cheating, I mean that in like the
You
lightest
got big
sense.
units a little confused there.
Yeah,
Oops.
yeah. See
It
what
looks
I
like
mean?
It's 2 units of 10
Yeah.
to help fill out his objectives and his troop choices a little
Oh
bit.
yeah. I believe they're actually fast attack, but yeah.
Oh, are they fast attack?
Yeah, I think so. But even then, you get some people get really kind of into the whole you have to
they're
measure.
troops.
Are they troops?
They're troops.
Egg on my face.
I think they used to be fast attack.
I did.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, back in my 5th edition codex.
I mean, that's when you
them.
mostly played them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this game's a little different than
I'm an old man.
Hey, I was playing in 4th edition. I get
What,
it.
in the crib?
I mean, that's back when we had hull points and a vehicle damage chart.
My favorite time to be alive.
I actually do like the vehicle damage chart, to be fair.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited to be playing Horus Heresy soon. That brings that back.
Oh, it did. Oh my.
I mean,
goodness.
Horus Heresy's the new edition of Horus Heresy that they just pulled out is primarily based on 7th edition rules, rather than updating it to 9th. Because it was originally Horus Heresy was originally written as a side project during 7th edition, and when they decided to bring it back, rather than updating it to 9th, they chose to stay within the general framework of 7th. There's obviously updates and fixes, and there's been some additions. The psychic phase doesn't exist. They've changed how psychic powers work, but
Council of Nicaea.
well, they're still psychers. They just
Yeah.
work differently. But that's a topic for a different game.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, they're bringing back the vehicle damage chart, which I'm a fan of.
I always enjoyed it. You know, I had a terrible strategy back when I played Tau in those early editions where it was when the weapon skill was actually like you compared it.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
vehicles could be hit on a 2 on a die.
Oh yeah.
And so you would punch them, and because all vehicles had really weak rear armor and all melee was resolved
Yeah,
against
it's
rear
weird.
armor, you could get really funky moments where you can get your Tau battle suits who are supposed to be terrible in melee, punch a Lehman Russ to death or something. It just was the funniest thing.
Yeah, there was some more strange rules back then.
Oh yeah. Or maybe not Lehman Russ. I think they had 12 back.
Yeah, they but you know,
Whatever.
points the same.
Wave serpents. Okay,
Yeah.
I punched a wave serpent to death with some crisis suits. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at those gargoyles. They're stringing them along there. I think trying to hold them in some kind of terrain and also be taking an objective. Now it is largely on a player. We don't have a ton of judges running around everywhere, but it is largely on a player to check to make sure that your opponent is doing everything correctly with their movements. As I
Make
was
sure
saying.
you know what the rules they're using are.
Now, personally, I'm a little leery of that cohesion right there. I think that might be pretty much stretching it. I'd be asking a judge to measure that.
Yeah.
Personally, but that's on the player to call that out. I'm a little leery about that cohesion, but he has done that in the pairing, because if a unit loses cohesion in that sense, you have to pick a side of the unit and you lose everything else.
Right.
So he's buddied them up, as you can see out there on the right, to
help
try and kind of keep those gargoyles.
Yeah, prevent losses if it does happen. Things
Yeah.
like that. Makes sense, and yeah.
But they're a little far apart. Maybe they're just within the 2 inches.
My guess is he measured it out pretty carefully. Got some. He missed the dice tray. We've all been there. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the house rule of if you miss the dice tray, can your troops really be expected to hit the broadside of a barn? But, who knows? Nah, they're being good sports about it. And
Yeah, moving up some warriors. As we said, there's a lot of warriors in that building. He's got them snugged up in there, and
yeah.
they run in.
Smite.
Smite. No, I mean, it's not the psychic phase just yet. We're still
Not
on
yet.
movement. But,
Yeah, but he is positioning him for that.
I mean, he's telegraphing what he's about to do. I mean, that's his choice.
It's not like the.
It's not like you can do anything about it. You know?
Right.
He's like, I'm going to kill you now.
This is not one of those alternating action games like Necromunda or something like that. You can telegraph what's going to happen this turn and probably be safe.
I do enjoy me in Infinity. Have you ever played Infinity?
I've played it a couple times. I am very bad at it.
It's a fun one.
But it was a good time. I just not enough hours in the day for all the different games I want to play.
No kidding. I mean, that's definitely a back in college game when I had more important things I should be doing, but
wasn't. Yeah. The one I've been interested in trying is Malifaux. I've heard a lot of really good things about that.
I love that game
But,
a lot. But I like all tabletop role-playing role-playing games.
War
I like
games.
those too. And I like my tabletop war games as well.
That 3d6 paying off, preventing the perils of the war.
It's very important. You don't want to lose a stone throw this early.
Very important that the clarification they were making there was that it is choose 2 dice, not choose the 2 highest.
Yes.
Because I've seen that kind of rule written both ways, and in that case it would have been a couple mortal wounds that he probably would like to avoid.
Yeah. I don't think it would kill his own throw. I think they got 3 wounds on them.
It's an off chance because perils is D3.
D3,
so
yeah.
It's not likely, but it's definitely possible.
You can tell how much psychic phase I do being a Tau player.
Yeah, I'm Dark Eldar. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
The Dream Stealer cults have introduced me a little more to it, and my Horus Heresy army is going to be Thousand Suns, so I'll be very familiar with how psychic works there.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Correct. And I'm a big fan of the candy red on the pre-Heresy Thousand Suns. Looks good.
Bright candy red.
That's what it is.
They look
Bright
like
candy.
fireballs, you know, just the cinnamon candy.
Yeah.
Just bright red fireballs.
Bright red fireballs. Bone looks a lot like that. The bone trim looks a lot like the write-in that's on some of those kinds of candies.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. You know, and as a Night Lord player, I've got chaos-looking Night Lords, and I can just walk those right into 30k because it's not like they looked any different.
True statement. Good old terror units.
My boys.
Looks like one of the Thunderwolves went down to. Looks like Psychic Phase still.
Yeah, it looks like Smite. Invul saves not doing it against those mortal
mortals.
wounds.
Using CP to re-roll his Psychic test, try to get off that actual Smite.
Yep.
'Cause he was looking for a 7 because it's like the 3rd time he's casted this.
Yeah. And that 3-3-1 was not going to cut it. Oh, there we
There
go.
you go.
That's an 11. That's extra mortal wounds with that.
And then I'm going to choose one of those 6-man units, the one that's on the objective.
I believe that's a D6 at that point when
I
you get
think
an
so.
11. Yeah.
Here, I roll a die for each model, and if I roll higher than your toughness, you take mortal wounds.
Oh.
3 mortal
Oh, that was not a smite. That was something else.
wounds.
Put in some mortal wounds on the
that's it
squad
for
there to help clear it out.
Next, we have the Zone Threats here going to smite.
Oh, there's another Smite coming down.
They have a +3 to cast. It's going to be a super smite. They do these.
There it was.
these
That was the
+3
super smite.
mortal wounds.
Oh no, I was
I didn't
early.
even have to look at the die. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
And that takes off the
Um,
Thunderwolves. Oof.
Alright,
This,
so that's them.
this
That's all the
brutal
stuff over here.
Psychic Phase.
I called it. I was like, those Thunderwolves, we're not going to see them at the end of next turn.
Big unit, like the Hive Tyrants get Psychic powers.
I
the
mean,
Mounts, that's
absolutely. We're seeing, like, this is an incredibly psychic list. We've got Maliceptor? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
I think so.
Maliceptor. Maliceptor, we've got Zoanthropes, we've got 2 Hive Tyrants, maybe 3 Hive
Three Hive
Tyrants.
Tyrants, 2 winged, 1 not.
Yeah, and all of those are packing psychic powers. Maybe 1, maybe 2.
I think it's 2 for the Tyrants.
Yeah.
base.
I don't remember exactly. It's
But
been
their strength
a
is
long
what?
time since I've played Tyranids.
Yeah, strength
But they pack a lot of psychic powers. And it's hard to stand up to them. And once again, it's the Tyranids are this kind of perfect combination of being
Need a 7.
incredibly tough
Don't get it.
and also being full of mortal wounds. So you can't kill them and they'll kill you no matter how tough you are.
Yeah.
very few armies kind of pack the kind of feel no pain. We're talking feel no pain. It didn't matter.
Didn't get there, but doing what he can to try to weather this storm and hopefully counterattack the next turn.
Yeah. Lovely chainmail dice bag right there.
Yeah, big fan. That red and black looks really good together.
All right. Still in the psychic phase.
Yeah.
The horror. Goes off on 6. We're going to give that unit right next to him -2 to leadership.
Dropping the leadership.
Fail at morale,
Trying to make it a even.
And then he's going to smite. That's going to fail. No matter what I roll next.
All right.
And then this guy's going to do psychic scream.
The
Sick.
fourth
You already cast it?
smite.
No,
Cast
that's
this
the one
round.
I haven't cast.
Oh my goodness.
Goes off
Oh
on
my
7.
goodness.
Does 1 mortal wound to that unit there. And he's going to try to smite. He needs he needs an 8 now. You got a 9?
Cool.
Cool.
2 mortal wounds.
Ah,
That is just a
Okay.
lot of mortals coming out of the
It's-
Tyranids in this
now-
phase.
it's rough. This amount of
done with psychic
psychers.
phase.
I mean,
Cool.
Finally done with striking phase, and now we get
No
to
way.
shoot.
yeah.
I've lost 7 models. Yeah.
Shooting phase. I'm going to have these guys shoot. At,
Space Wolf down 7 models
whatever they-
from this.
Yeah, but 4 of those were
So they get
Thunderwolf.
D3 shots.
Yeah,
Venom
Or
cannon.
very-
3 of them.
3 of them.
3 shots.
Very,
One died in combat first, but yeah.
either way, I mean, this is very, high value. Those
Yeah.
mortal wounds can go at all kinds of units that it's just going to cause a huge amount of problems.
3, cover, storm shield.
Yeah, and because mortal runes carry over, like high damage weapons,
Yeah, AP3.
if you hit a 1 wound model, it just very much
Kinda
kills
just-
that
yeah,
1 wound
just-
model. Mortal wounds carry over, which means
Oh, yeah.
it is just as effective to throw them into the 2 wound Marines as it is the 4 wound Thunderwolves.
Oh, yeah.
You lose no
That's better
efficiency on
three
that
shots
front,
each.
which is why so many of the lists we see right now
Ones, 'cause
are looking for ways to generate mortal.
there's all the 2s.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Testers are strength.
we got a lot of 2s.
Yeah,
All right.
Force
And that's
to hit.
5.
5 saves. AP2 for these.
So 4 up.
Storm shield.
Oh,
Storm shields.
They're 4 up normally.
Yeah. So
So
it's
it'd be 3 up, and then it would be 4 up basically.
Yeah, 4 ups. 4 ups for everybody, really.
Yeah,
there we go.
All right. Fail
good
1.
one. It's 1 day.
That was very good roll.
That was a
on
good roll
save.
right there. That
He
was,
needed it,
That was
too.
what he needed right
I will
there.
take that.
The real
Stop
thing
the
is.
bleed in a little bit.
Oh,
hopefully.
yeah. Well, the real thing is with psychic phases is just how consistent they are.
Yeah. It's not a lot of wounds. It's a lot of D3, D6, but
Yeah.
it adds up.
But it
because
adds
it's
up.
So consistent.
Yeah,
Beating most of
absolutely.
the saves and
Well, it's not. It's how to put this.
3 wounds.
Over 50% of all your dice rolls easily
We'll do the 4
are
ups,
going
storm
to be
shields.
7 or higher.
Yeah.
And when most things cast on 7%, that's like
Tink.
basically running. All I need to do is roll a 3+ to
ones.
kill a model.
yeah.
Period.
They get 1 free
And
roll
that's
to hit.
that's very strong. That's that's
better.
better than probably one of the best guns in the game.
Yeah.
Is just being able to consistently kill a model,
Yeah.
no matter what, and that's so strong. And
It is supposed to be 4 up.
just the number of psychers that Tyranids can throw. It looks like almost like Grey Knight sometimes.
Yeah.
Storm shield will be 4 up, and this is 1 damage.
Yeah.
So storm
Yeah,
shield,
but
4
the
ups,
Grey Knights are a lot more
Fail.
limited on which powers they can take.
4 up.
Mm-hmm.
The zone, the Tyranid power list is very versatile.
You had a guy already wounded.
It's
Yeah,
it's
we'll just
astounding.
move the wound
I
over.
mean, you're gonna. We're probably gonna see more Tyranids today. And
Yeah.
I don't want to use up all our talking points on the Tyranids on the first game
Fair.
here.
All right.
Frankly,
them
what I
shoot
want to see is 2 Tyranids fighting
You got
each other
this
and both of
cannon
them
that's
going.
gonna shoot into those 3
Yep.
boys.
We'll do
I
that.
hate this.
Now,
I don't think so. Do the hive? The Wigan Hive Tyrants have that?
We'll see. We'll see where
All
all
three
of
hit,
this
let's do
goes.
the
I mean,
hit.
last year, it was a big surprise,
I need 2.
but Patrick
Gets one reroll.
McEnany, he won with a Space Marine list.
Yeah,
And
White
no-
Scars. if I
White
remember.
4 up
Scars.
save.
Taken.
And it was an absolute surprise
you
because
killed one.
everyone thought the Eldar were going to,
Sharp
their Dark
bullets.
Eldar and the Yunari were going to just take last year. And that's not what happened. We had Admech in second place, and I believe
We'll have these 10 go into the
Necron. No, I think it was Drukari still in third place.
But still,
Towards the hit.
that's
Still.
more diversity than we were expecting, which is always
Absolutely.
good to see.
And it's not. I
5,
don't
1 wins.
Tyranid players are coming here. They want to win. Good. Good for them. They want to play the game.
Okay.
More players is better at the end of the day. So I have nothing against these guys. Play your Tyranids. Enjoy them. It's good.
Of course.
Safety 1.
It's just they're very strong.
They are. And we'll see a fair amount of them, I'm sure. But hopefully we get some other stuff.
We're gonna you know, down the pipe. I think Games Workshop is planning on, you know, obviously writing something dealing with this.
Oh, I'm sure we do. We're coming up on the time for the quarterly data slate soon, and we're gonna have the points update coming out around the same time as the new objectives.
Yeah.
That are scheduled to come out next week. So.
We're just like right at this sweet moment where
we
see it. You can see it on the horizon.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the last tournaments you guys watch that's going to look like this, because in 3 weeks or so, this game's going to be entirely different.
Oh, absolutely. We got new command points and everything. That whole new system is going to get made.
I'm sure we'll have some time to talk with some of our guests about it, because I would love to see some people who are a little more competitive focused than us thoughts on it, but it is certainly going to be a new game because how secondaries are handled is changing, how there's going to be slight changes in the missions, and how CPs are handled, command points are handled, changes a lot with that.
No, it's going to be, in my opinion, it could not be better for a good change to be coming along. And you know, as a Tau player, I very much enjoyed when the Tau were on top, but
doesn't need to be that way all the time.
No. Because, you know, how else are you going to get your complaints in? You know, when you're not winning.
Valid. A huge portion of this hobby is complaining to Games Workshop about why your army isn't the best.
Vindication.
Right.
To feel bad. My army's bad. It's not my fault. But yeah, no, I feel like I don't think the game's been in a worse state. No. What am I saying? I don't think it's been in a better state. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
That makes me seem like a very pessimistic person. No. I think that right now, Warhammer 40K is been at its best. I mean, we're getting great updates. We're getting rules coming out consistently, and we're getting, you know, corrections to, you know,
strange rules,
overpowered effects.
They are taking a more active hand than I think I had ever seen them do before in how the meta shapes, which is important. I think there's still work to be done. I think there's things they can do, but with what is it, 25 factions or whatever, you're never gonna actually get them all balanced. It's impossible.
It's hard,
but they are making good inroads. They are listening to their player base. They are looking at the data, and they are saying, this is a problem.
And I really think the popularity of the tournaments. I think a lot of, you know, there's something to be said. You know, I'm aware of a lot of competitive games out there. You know, computer games, tabletop games, you name it. But a lot of times the competitive scene is something that independently forms out of the player base, not really out of the intention of the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, game developers, and as always, they're always a little behind what the community is doing, and that's normal. That's natural.
Yeah.
It takes time to do anything in a business.
There is a lot of inertia involved.
Oh yeah, and so a lot of times it's a little slow. And with the leadership shakeup about 6 or 7 years ago in Games Workshop, we're really seeing a big change. Like, you know, just things are moving forward. We're getting a lot of progression. We're changing how this kind of the game side of it, the hobby side, is still pretty much the same as it always has been. I mean, but how is that going to change?
Oh, that's a good question.
There's only so much.
You can interrupt, right?
Yep.
Like,
I have that opportunity.
They got rid of the fine cast. Get rid of the fine cast.
They're working on it. They're working on it.
We don't need that crap.
They don't have like thunder hammers.
They're working on the fine cast. They're bringing some things that used to be affordable exclusive into the Games Workshop brand itself, which is nice to see. And they're just expanding it.
What?
There are certainly things I'd like to see change. I would like to see a wider embracement of 3D printing technology. I think
Can they fight on death after they've already fought?
if they started selling STL files.
If you could just sell, all I want is a Power Fist STL. Please
Please, can I have a power fist?
Yeah, even if they never sold entire models as STLs,
Like, I'm not
they
worried
could
about
sell
dying
some of those
stuff.
bits that you just
Oh,
you end up having to trade other
real hard.
players.
Okay.
Well,
I would
don't-
immediately
you don't
go
know.
and hey, you know, like
here's
You
a
don't
free
have
tip
AOC,
to anybody
I'm
who
making
doesn't know
force
about
free up
this.
saves.
Go on eBay and search
All
for the
right,
bit
I got
you
5
want
attacks.
to buy. There are
with his
people
thing.
Yeah.
who buy entire box sets of these things and
Choose your
separate
ones.
out
Oh, look
the
at you.
bits.
yeah, because
Go buy it from them.
Yeah, explode
It's-
6 is
this
return,
is one
so
of
2
my
extras.
biggest frustration points with Games Workshop and how they've handled
Strength
the
is
modeling.
11.
They have a tendency to put in,
Those 2 ones
if
go
you
out there,
have,
so it's 2.
take the Scourge from Dark
So I
Eldar, because that's
think
the one that has
reroll
bothered me.
No,
Scourge can
that's
take
the
4 different kinds of
flying
heavy
one.
weapons,
So, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
5.
And they all serve
AP?
4 very different roles.
4. And
box
Usually
set
has
one.
4 up saves.
Box comes with one of each.
First, right? Yeah.
When are you ever
it
going to
four?
take
Yeah.
a Shredder, which is built to
-2.
kill
Well,
hordes,
no, he's got
and
a-
a Heat Lance,
no,
which
four
is built to
fails.
take tanks
Yeah.
in the
But
same
the other
unit?
guy's passes his.
You could. It would be a
6
bad
up.
way to play the game.
Yeah, you're
It is,
no one who's.
Because mine's
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
even like it's a particularly
Because they go to
fluffy way to
2
be.
basically,
Like,
and then- yep.
I'm
So
willing,
6 up past the hand.
I'm
3 left.
willing to accept that
Yep.
people will make decisions that are less
one
optimal
dies,
for
and
fluff
just
reasons.
3
I
for
do
the
it
2
too.
last guys.
Nope.
Fine.
They die.
Well, there's no fluff
right,
advantage.
I will
There's no
interrupt
gameplay
you.
advantage. This
All right.
is just the wrong way to do
They're
it.
made. The kits are made to be playable, not necessarily tactical.
Right.
And that's I bought a Chaos Terminators box last year, and I can tell you, I did not. I wanted to equip them with all the things that they could equip, but the box came with one of each. That was
Yeah.
not how I wanted to equip my guys.
I have seen they seem to be making it. I hope we see this move into the 40K side of the business. Horus Heresy is actually doing, for their new tactical Marines, they sell it as a box. It's 10 or 20, I don't remember which. Tactical Marines, all with bolters, but they're selling at a cheaper price point, upgrade, special weapon spurs that come with 5 of each of the special weapons.
I mean, I'd be fine with that.
That's exactly what we need.
That's just something that would be nice.
Yeah, well, and the reason the reason we saw it first in Horus Heresy is because in Horus Heresy, units tend to have the same weapon type across the entire unit. Your tactical squads carry bolters, and then you have like a support squad, and all 5 or 10 of them will have plasma guns,
Oh wow,
or whatever else.
Volkite or
Whatever. There's a lot of options. But
Right.
the point is, you don't see the squad of 8 bolters of a rocket launcher and a plasma gun as often.
yeah.
You can do that with the veteran squads, but it is not the standard like it is in 40K. And so that's why we saw that change first there, but I do hope to see them transfer that across the brand a little more.
All right, we're seeing some big rolls. We got that unit in melee.
Yeah, and those exploding 6s plus 3 rolls is just
Ooh.
it's a lot of dice.
Never let it be said that the Space Wolves don't try hard in melee. Oh my goodness. Not the most shooting out of the Tyranids. I'm still seeing a lot of Space Wolves still on the field. I don't think that shooting fade.
It took off a Thunderwolf or 2. Like it picked some things off here and there, but
All right, well we got 2 damage on that Hive Tyrant, it seems.
and now it swings back.
Two extra attacks on the Hive Tyrant. Oh my goodness. 7 attacks.
Oh, he mystically explodes. That's good for
Oh, only 7 hits going through. My goodness.
Double checking the rules. There might be a reroll to wound,
Even
which
the
would
player says they got some stupid rule. At least they're self-aware about it. Of just how crazy the Tyranids are right now.
yeah, they get 1 free reroll of a hit. Oh my goodness.
So strong, so strong. That was what it was destined to be. Get some Terminators.
He dies.
Yep.
And 6 ups on everyone else.
Yep.
Pass 1. One guy is alive.
And then you take 6 mortal wounds after all that.
He's dead then.
And
the
three
Reaper.
more.
Goodness,
Oh,
6
Reaper,
portals.
Yeah.
Come on over to Bjorn.
That was
You know, I
brutal.
will.
Brutal,
gonna get
brutal.
Ah, coward.
Chooses not to tag
Gonna get right
Bjorn in
there.
there.
I would.
All right.
Can't say I blame
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
right there. I'm gonna fight with the
Bjorn's
flying red
mean.
first, get 6 attacks.
Although he is letting Bjorn get a turn to shoot that melta gun off. So
Okay, we got 3
we'll see how that goes. But of course, it's a single shot melta gun, so it will roll a 1
Every time.
Every time.
11. Doesn't matter. They all wound. They all wins.
Strength 11.
Yeah, I think I'd trade one shot with the multi-melta for a round of attack, and that I can't do. Try to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I guess they're back anyway. So I got
Fight on death, I suppose.
1
Yeah.
Thunderhammer for
Ah.
3s. We're gonna swing into.
And this is, I think, the Wolfen squad in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Swinging into the Warriors because the Hive Tyrant is not likely to go down from this.
3 damage. Makes them -1 damage.
1 CP.
Spending a C.
1 CP to do -1 damage.
That is huge here because
Huge.
the Thunderhammers are 3 damage, the Warriors are 3 wounds.
3
so
wounds.
moving that.
That
means
is huge.
Every single
that
Tyranid is going to take up an extra attack.
That is painful. And as we just heard the admission, he just looked at the other player and went, Leviathan.
Yeah, that's that transhuman effect coming into play.
Not being able to wound on anything lower than a 4.
They don't have to reroll 1. These are on 2s. They all get the spell doctrine, so they throw it on 6s.
I forgot to got psychic interrogation.
I'm okay with that. I was like, whatever.
Forgot about it.
They wound you
Sounds like
on
the Tyranid
4s,
player
so that's
forgot that he had a
3
secondary that
-4,
needs
so
him to
that's-
cast a certain psychic power,
down to
psychic
1.
interrogation.
So this guy dies and
Gonna miss a few points there,
Yep.
but
And these
I'm
guys
not
die.
sure it's gonna matter that much, frankly.
Chip away.
Yeah.
This looks like it's been a tough,
Alright.
tough matchup for the Space Wolves.
All right.
Activate the
He
gargoyles.
hasn't put his what are they called? Oh, I
Long
can't-
fangs.
Long fangs, that's right. Hasn't put his long fangs in play. We'll see if those can do anything. I don't think so, though.
They might take down.
I don't want to be
unit.
fatalistic towards the player, but this is overwhelmingly dangerous. It's stuck on it. Now he has, by charging that Maliceptor, now this is a little interesting, that Maliceptor did not move this round.
He actually did that because Maliceptor gets to cast extra spell, psychic powers if he doesn't.
Oh, so that wasn't even an advantage for him. Didn't even know that.
I mean, he was taken out of combat earlier from one of the wounds and stuff. He could have, I believe he could have moved.
Oh, okay.
But,
Oh, that's right. He fought back and
Killed one, and they
Thunderbolt.
chose to take him out or something. But I heard him mention on the mic
Okay.
that he doesn't want to move for psychic power reasons.
So strong.
I think they have a special rule where they get like 1 extra cast or something.
Maybe the 3, somewhere the 3d6 came in or something. It's strong. It's strong. That's all you can really say about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that might be the end of it.
So it is
Well,
17. I didn't come around, so I still get that 1 more point.
Yeah, so you get 3 for those.
3, so it's 18, 16. I have 18, you have 16 right now.
You get 4 for
Oh,
primary
great.
for
Next turn.
next turn.
Odes
I get
moment,
4.
as I
Yeah,
believe.
get 1
Oaths of
CP,
Moment was this
and
secondary they were talking about. I
then
was
we
having
gotta see
trouble
what we
how
can
they
do
were
over
up
here.
18
All those
points
guys are
for
dead.
One,
Picking
they were
anything,
including the
I'm
10
gonna take
points
warp
for both
shielding.
armies
Everything
being
I have
taken.
has invulnerable and 5
That's where that came from.
Yeah. Of course, that is a requirement to be here today. Is that you do have to have a fully painted army.
Pretty bad out here.
At least 3 colors on it. Every model in your army.
And base.
Base. Seeing a little sparse basing on the Thunderbolts, but suppose that got by. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about it, man. Bad news bears out here.
Yep. Space Wolf player commiserating a little bit with his opponent about what is going on here, and
Well, sometimes you see some things that are this one-sided.
it is the nature of the game sometimes. You can't
Absolutely.
prepare for everything.
Trust me, I've been taken off the board way too early in some games, and sometimes you knuckle down, and 5
closer
rounds.
game than you expect.
Oh man, tell me about it. Those are the ones where you stand in for 6 hours, staring at the board, going, "I would really rather just go home and have lunch."
Luckily, they plan breaks for lunch here.
Yeah,
That's not
true.
a thing in Magic tournaments. Granted, our rounds are only an hour, but still,
Yeah.
when you're on those 9-round days,
By yourself, my man. You got it.
Yeah.
Fire those
Bring a
things,
snack bar.
oh, it's a thing that is very common, especially when players are consistent tournament grinders in Magic, 'cause they'll have snacks in there. I've one of my roommates is diabetic, and so he has blood sugar problems occasionally. And he has said that one of the things he said is that Magic players are always ready to have food on them. So if he starts to drop that hard, he can just be like, "Judge," and either the judge or any number of players nearby will just be like, "Here, have a power bar.
Yeah, there you go.
May not be your favorite, but it'll get you through."
I mean, that's community. That's
Yeah.
community for you right there. People taking care of each other. You love
Yeah.
to see it. Well, still in it. Truth be told, Space Wolf player, he lost a Thunder Wolf unit and didn't quite lose those Wolven, but I think he lost some Terminators.
I think he did lose the wolf, and I think those were some characters that were supporting them.
Yeah.
5 more inches.
But,
Oh.
and the Tyranid player only down the Venom Thrope unit, so this is looking a little rough.
Grim.
But it's not as one-sided as one might think. I mean, like we said, we still got Long Fangs that might be coming
Yeah,
into play.
and he looks like he's trying to play the objective smartly here.
Don't need to move anything else.
So he's gonna get what points he can and try to make a
Give
game
up
of
too
it.
soon. You never know. Just these Tyranids have a very rough first turn when they can throw that many.
I'll do R&D for this turn.
That much
Mortal
damage
wounds.
out. Yeah,
That gets
It's
me
rough.
2 strikes.
it sounded like he was throwing around a fair number of
thing.
command points. So
How do
it'll
we
be
do?
curious to see if the changes to command points help lessen the
Really
first
change-
initial back.
One of the biggest complaints that I think people have is that these games can go.
Very alpha striking. They don't always, but they can.
Yes, I feel like there's the conflict between wanting the game to be done faster because Warhammer is such an intensive thing, and this is just tournaments, 3 hours a game. That's a commitment. If you're playing casually, you can get games that last 5, 6, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Now, 7 hours is very high. I keep hitting the microphone. But I
Don't think I've ever played a 7-hour game. That
I
sounds
have.
insane.
I have. I was very tired by that. I didn't want to do anything for the rest of the day. 11 at night, you walk home and you go, I'm dead.
Good night.
Good night. Love you, babe. Good night. But, I'm trying to check what's going on.
Yeah, I think he's debating some moves and stuff.
Put down, bring down some gas.
Yeah, you got outflankers.
Outflankers.
Ah,
But
I
yeah,
have
so
figuring out if
plenty
he's
of
bringing in
space.
those long
Okay.
things and where.
those are important. Here they come.
Looks like he wasn't able to get him into the backfield. He's bringing him in just to bring in fire support against that Hive Pirates.
He's gonna need it. I mean, that thing is tough and mean. But like I was saying, some of these games, they're long. You want to kind of end them quickly. So the Alpha Strike seems to be valuable in the sense that the game doesn't need to be 7 hours long. But at the same time, sometimes it's frustrating because not all armies are designed to even be able to do that or defend themselves against it.
Yeah.
So I think the change-up is going to be a good thing, personally.
I think it'll be healthy for the game.
Well, not only that, but you're going to have people walking in with these crazy detachments. You get like people walking in with like this guy and then this guy and then this guy and then this guy.
Yeah, it's going to cut down a little bit on the soup, some of the soup aspects, the mixing and matching. And I think it'll also decrease some of the use of characters that are only allowed once per detachment. Like, you can only have one captain per detachment and things like that.
You want to pack like 4 captains in a list.
You're going to see less people taking a couple different patrols to try to bring extra of those, which is probably good. I think you'll see a little more less diversity in that regard.
Sure. I mean, what you're going to see is what I think you're going to see is you're actually see increased diversity because no one wants to fight 5 of the same HQ choice that you just rammed in your list, you're going to be forced to take a lot more varied units. You're going to be forced to take, you just can't afford them. You're going to be forced to take, more troops, more elites. And the game will not be as much about just a bunch of singular characters running around.
Especially with the needed to pay for the first Warlord Relic and trait.
Yeah, absolutely. If the audience, if you don't know what's going to happen soon, they're going to be reducing the command points down to 5 from 10.
6 from 12.
6 from 12. What am I saying? 6 from 12. They're going to be reducing it in half.
Yeah.
That's the important part. And they're going to be two per round on each person's.
Yeah. So what it is. This is talking about the Warzone Nihilus Grand Tournament Pack. That's I believe supposed to go up for pre-order today, actually, on the Games Workshop website.
Happy Father's Day. Call your dad.
But in that book, there's a lot of changes to different parts of the game. But one of probably the biggest, or at least the one that they revealed this week on Warhammer Community, was cutting the starting number of command points in half, and then at the start of each turn, both players gain a command point. So now you will be gaining one on your opponent's turn as well. They are hoping to decrease the amount that you spend immediately, as well as promoting you to use them a little defensively, since you're getting one on your opponent's turn as well.
Yeah.
So
and like we said, it's going to be costing more command points to even fully equip your leaders and stuff like that.
The first Warlord trait and Relic are no longer free. You need to. Everybody will have access to a command or a.
This will be discounted. This will be discounted for a lot of named characters. Of course, a lot of named characters are also going to be going up in price kind of compensate for this.
Yeah. We have not seen many of the points values. There's been some talk about it in some leaks, but we suspect a lot of the named characters will go up in points value, at least a little bit, or may not get the discount that we may have originally expected due to that. Because they will get their relics that they're equipped with base. They will not get Warlord traits. Even if they are prescribed a specific Warlord trait, you still need to pay for them to have it, then they get whichever one it is.
So even then, you're walking in, I think that's why I said 5, you're getting 5, because even though you're starting with 6, you have to have a Warlord that has to cost 1.
No, so the Warlord itself is fine. You can have a Warlord without a trait now. You are now allowed to have a Warlord that does not have a Warlord trait.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still your Warlord for the purposes of kill your Warlord, assassination, whatever the...
Sure.
But
you don't
it
need
just
to take
doesn't
this.
have a specific trait at that point.
That's wild to me. That's not right.
Well, it's what it is, and...
Well, I'm joking. I'm being facetious.
That's fair.
I'm being facetious.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects because some armies were very aggressive about their use of Warlord traits. Some of them have very powerful Warlord traits. Others, you were like, this is a good Warlord trait, I might as well take one.
Yeah.
It'll also be curious to see if some of them go down in value. Specifically,
currently, still Warlord traits beyond your first still cost CP now. So command points now.
But it'll be interesting to see if certain Warlord traits that had to do with command points go down in value. There was a whole series of them that were you get whenever you or your opponent uses one, roll a die, and on a certain roll you get a refund. Starting with less, it'll be interesting to see if those go up in value because you need to get them back, or if they go down in value because people are being more conservative about spending them and starting with less. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because it could go either way.
It's going to be a big shakeup, no matter what happens.
There are a huge amount of increase in value in the ones that have guaranteed reasons to get them.
All right, well, we're seeing those gargoyles are definitely going down here, but that doesn't surprise anybody.
Yeah, they're not exactly known for their toughness. No. They are the little bugs.
Even if they're soaking up wounds.
That's wounds not being directed elsewhere.
Yeah.
London, baby.
Throwing some grenades at them.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. So.
I'm from London.
Those Hive Tyrants and Gargoyles doing a good
Some
job
very-
taking up space.
And not only that, but some good maneuvering from the Tyranid player. He knows what he's doing. He's screening his units effectively, kind of stopping them from being able to target each other or charge in.
It does look like the Longfangs with Bjorn were able to take down the one-winged Hive Tyrant,
Yep.
which is good.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me as much. Like,
Not shocking, but it is a bright spot for the Space Wolf
Yeah.
player who had a tough start.
now we got Bjorn in melee combat. It begins.
We'll see how he does.
Again, last year I was quite wrong. I was like, that guy, he's gonna handle it, and that Keeper of Secrets took him apart. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Well, Keeper of Secrets are a little dangerous.
Well,
and a little
since
fast.
since I picked one up recently and started playing with one, I too have been sold on the delicious and delectable power of Slanesh.
I didn't see what the demon lists being played today are. I was curious if one of them was running that, like 6 Keeper list.
Oh yeah. Well, last year, I've been telling people, one of my favorite lists that we saw on the big tables was a 3 Knights, 2 Keepers of Secrets, and 2 units of Furies.
That is one of the most bizarre lists I think I've ever heard of.
And we brought the guy on board, and he was like, I love punching stuff and I love drinking beer, and having this list lets me get to drinking beer with my buddies faster.
I punch things faster, which means I drink beer faster.
Yeah, it was great. I loved him. So
Can't flaw that logic.
it's effective. It's tactical. It's genius.
Hard to argue with that.
But it was a very impressive, and of course, unfortunately, he got taken out, I believe, in the 5th round.
That's still a good show.
Out of the lead, but he still scored, I believe, top 10 for the tournament. It's always good to see Knights. I mean, you'd love Knights. Big, scary, impressive.
They're experiencing quite the resurgence right now.
Absolutely, and got a great sculpt. That new Knight.
Yeah, the Aberrant.
Oh, and even the War Dogs. The War Dogs look great.
Yeah.
And I'm sold. I really want to pick one up.
Make it into your, soup it into your Night Lords a little bit.
Maybe,
Dreadblade.
maybe a Dreadblade here or there.
Yeah, that seems good. I've seen a couple people playing around with free blades into some of the Imperium forces. One of my favorites was I was looking at results from another tournament, and a guy had tacked a unit of 3 Armiger free blades into his Imp Guard to have the front end to be his front line.
Just to push up the field. That's a good strategy.
It was.
We got Bjorn in melee. A couple of 1s on that wound roll. 5 wounds onto the Hive Tyrant. That is not enough to take it down. Those are some beefy boys. Those Hive Tyrants. We'll see what he's going to do back to Bjorn. But Bjorn is also, importantly here, Bjorn is contesting that point.
Yeah.
Which is very important. While both of them are HQ choices on that point, neither one has OPSEC.
So it's just going to be contested.
It's just going to be contested, which is important. He's denying that
I think
Tyranid
he's going to
player.
actually be able to grab Stranglehold again.
Yep.
That helps.
Oh, well, we'll see. We do have a Tyranid turn after this.
Well, Stranglehold scored at the end of his turn.
At the end of his turn. Oh, right. Secondary.
Secondary often are, so
so
he can guarantee you that. It'll be interesting to see what he gets primary-wise, but...
He's definitely got the 3 on the left side right now.
Yeah,
So he's
they were talking about that earlier. There is a special rule on this particular mission where if you hold an objective with OPSEC at the end of your command phase, it is held by you even if you move off until it is taken back.
Yep. So he was able to claim that one up the top left.
And if he can keep them off there, he doesn't need to babysit it at all.
Absolutely. Couple 1s there. A little difficult to see. It's on the dice. He's got special Space Wolf dice.
I'm having trouble telling the difference between the 6 and the 1.
The 1 is a skull, and the other one is a wolf head.
Okay.
You have to be able to see in the right way. It lined up.
I'm not always a fan of that style of die, but use what makes you happy.
Reminds me of back in college, we found I got a pound of dice as a
Classics.
Yes, and so it was a bunch of random dice, and we found 2 different D6s in the pound of dice. We were playing D&D, and
Right.
one die, 1d6, had 2 6 sides on it, and one had 2 1 sides on it.
Whoops.
Whoopsies. That was fun. We found that out. Threw a big ball, threw a fireball, and picked up one of the die and went, that's not right.
Something's wrong about this.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. I got a funny look one time when I told my family I bought dice by the pound.
For what? You got some intense Yahtzee games going on there, boy?
That was back in the day when I was teaching a lot of people how to play D&D, so I would just be like, here's a set of dice, keep it. Here's a set of dice, keep it. Here's a set of dice, keep it.
It's all yours.
I bought like 3 pounds of dice over the years. But, a lot more
Got some
economical.
lamentations about Bjorn not quite hitting it. I don't. Maybe he's just cursed at this tournament. He just can't quite do it.
Apparently.
Maybe. Ooh, some ones there.
Nope, I think those were 6s.
No, those were
Oh.
ones.
He had some 6s in there that made up for it. 'Cause
Yeah.
the exploding 6s from the Assault Doctrine.
Yep. 5 up invols. Let's see him. Ooh.
Then we're going to do the pack leader, so he's got 7 attacks. Hitting on 2s.
Let's see it. There we go.
8 hits from 7 attacks. Classic.
Yep.
You gotta love it.
So far we got 3 with Shred.
See, those are ones.
Yeah. I'm going to
They're
struggle with
hard.
them.
They're hard to see. They're hard
Cool,
to
so
see.
that's
I'm not
going to
gonna.
be 7 at -3.
And that's a 6.
So, once again. So I kill that guy and another guy dies. Yep. So 2 of them die. Take that!
Took out 3 of those warriors in that upper combat there.
Suffer my wrath. Cool.
That's better than it could have gone.
Oh yeah. Well, again on this player's on his turn, it's looking a little better, but
Technically, we're both on this objective. Do you control this objective?
Well, I gotta fight you back first.
Yeah. I mean, technically, we're both on it. Your technical arm's just in my way.
Yeah. So we would test that. Then.
Yes.
Unless I kill you.
Unless you kill me. But we'll see about that. Because Bjorn is T8.
Okay. I'm
And also
strength
5.
11.
5 up, feel no pain.
All right. So I get
bragging
5
about
attacks.
Bjorn here.
Good hit,
He's
reroll
G8.
ones.
He's tough to say.
Yeah, there's one.
One straight 11.
Okay.
Stays a 1. Once a 1, always a 1.
It was
strength
just
11, so
big.
3 ups.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
So that is that many.
3 at AP minus
3 AP minus 4.
-4, so 6s.
So you have 2 up armor.
He's got 3 up armor, but -1. He's still
This is
the
gonna be 9 damage.
9 damage? What's the damage?
3 damage each.
So 2 damage.
Oh yeah. So 6 damage.
6 damage total, plus 5 feel no pain.
Bjorn being tough. He's tough.
That one be cocked?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm like, that one looks
Yeah.
very tilted. So he takes 4 damage.
One anyway.
So we stand there and
That's a
stare
one,
at each
always
other
a
with
one.
our damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Bjorn ended up
So we
taking
can
4
test that, so it
damage.
doesn't hold by
I
anybody.
believe he
But
did
I
5
get struggle hold
damage
'cause I
in
control
his
more than
previous
you.
combat. So
that
Bjorn did
was
technically
61.
do better
3.
Yeah.
against the High
But
Tyrant.
more
So,
importantly,
yeah, I
he
get
survived,
stranglehold.
which means that objective will stay contested.
Is
And
contested,
I-
and he will get to maintain his stranglehold. And he will, force the player to actually have to do something about Bjorn if they want to be able to score points. The Tyranid player, while seems to have more units on the board, they are Tyranids, so they're typically going to have more units on the board. They don't actually control that many command points. So,
Talking exactly about what I said earlier.
yeah, he's coming to regret that decision about that secondary, and that's sometimes you just don't
Over to your
you don't
turn,
know what
you're
you're
in
you
control
don't
too.
really know how things are going to turn out until you really see it.
It really. The R&D is the one that can get you a lot of points safely if you're infantry heavy, like the Space Wolves are. So it's a pretty safe one in a lot of.
Now remind me, can you choose your secondaries after you see the field, or do you have to have them chosen?
Yes. You choose after you see both the mission you are playing and your opponent's list.
Okay, but not before they deploy.
Not before they deploy.
Or
before they deploy.
Before they deploy.
Yeah.
I'm saying things wrong.
Before they deploy, but after you've seen what they are playing.
So
Because, like, it would be really tough to pick some of those, like, Abhor the Witch, which is kill Psychers. If you had to pick that when you made your list, no one would ever take it, because what if you roll up against a Drukhari?
yeah,
There's not a psyker in that entire army book.
No, neither for sisters, neither
Right.
for.
So you are allowed
custodes.
to. You pick after you've seen the mission and your opponent, and you can take that into account a little bit, and be like, all right, well, they brought a lot of vehicles, take them down, it's good, or they are
Yep.
psychic heavy, take a pour the wedge, whatever.
So, yeah, and on this one, I think he was definitely going to have some trouble trying to push through that Tyranid line. I mean,
Yeah.
that guy, Larry, he lined that entire board edge, or deployment edge, with Tyranids. There was no way we were going to see Space Wolves on that table edge or in that quadrant.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, hindsight 2020 here.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and I think he went to his default. Like, that's probably one of his defaults, but I don't know what he could have taken instead.
The Thunderwolf Cavalry are so fast. They're great at getting in
I'm not sure
there.
cavalry is allowed to do actions, though.
Oh, okay. And that secondary does require an action.
Yes. So I believe it has to be the infantry, but he can move those infantry pretty well if he's aggressive with his Thunderwolf
Wolven are
cavalry.
fast. I believe
Yeah.
Wolven are faster than normal
And he has the
Marines.
one outflanking unit. Like, there's a lot of ways to handle it. Even if you only get 3 of the quarters, it's a pretty solid objective. And if he was worried about some of the other options, I could see it.
Yeah.
'Cause he doesn't have a psychic, so he can't go into the psychic interrogation. The psychers are the hardest things to kill in the Tyranids a lot of the time, so you can't really take them before the
Not
witch.
only that, but warriors here, they have I think they have a base 7 or they get a +1 on their advance, one
Yeah.
or the other. These guys just moved 13 inches and they are now on that objective and are claiming it. That's
It's gonna hurt his primary a little bit.
It's going to hurt his primary. Now he's still holding 2, which is
Yeah.
I believe going to get him 10 points.
That is, I don't remember if it's
wrong
hold
about
2 or 6.
I think it's dependent on the
It's dependent on the mission, and
Yeah.
at 6 they may have gone 2, it may be 2-3 more instead of 1-2 more.
Let's give that a look here.
Yeah, it's 2-3 more.
Yeah.
Instead of 1-2 more. So Holden 2 will only get him 4 points.
4 points, okay.
Whereas Holden 3 would get him 8.
That does it right there. So
That movement up there is important. We'll have to see how the fight with Bjorn goes. But it looks like he's bringing in some warrior support for that. I think this might.
now the real question: can you look on there real quick because you can get their rosters up? Is Bjorn have anything that says that he fights first or his opponents fight last?
Make sure we get this objective.
Let me see if I can.
That will really inform
I'm
us.
gonna have to look up Bjorn himself because it is not listed in the list. It's just listed as Bjorn because he has
Bjorn.
all.
Okay. So we don't actually see
I'll
anything.
take a second to see what he's got. I don't
Not even-
believe he does, but
I think that's just a Wolven thing for Space Wolves. I know that Space Wolves have a few force people to go second, which I don't know why they wrote that in the rules. I still can't get over the fact that they wrote for some armies always fights first, and then for some armies opponent always fights second. I'm like, why did you do that? Why?
yeah, there's some weirdness with that.
Were like the 2 development groups not communicating about?
Quite
they
possibly.
Don't. What does that
Wouldn't
even
be the
mean?
first time. Rights of battle.
He's a very good HQ choice. I have never been unconvinced that Bjorn's not worth taking. I see tons of people always bring him along.
I do not see anything that makes him
All right.
strike first or them strike last in any way.
Well, we'll see if Bjorn makes.
That being said, because it is the Tyranids player's turn,
yeah, Bjorn's likely to go first.
Bjorn is likely to go first if he chooses to. He might need it in another fight.
Well, we can see this as we can see on the right side that warrior squad might be coming up the field and charging Bjorn.
That's gonna be a tough charge, but doable.
Doable.
Potentially.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, it's probably about a 10-inch charge.
Mortal wound on a 6th wound, and after he finishes all his swings, he can do D3 extra mortal wounds on 18+ because of break.
I'm discussing a little bit of what I believe the Thunderlord on Wolf can
I'm
do.
gonna go fight Bjorn or my boys.
7-inch charge.
Oh, we got a.
Those long fangs might be in trouble.
Might be a time to declare an Overwatch.
I know it looked like 7 because of the distance.
It's gonna be an 8-inch charge for them, so it's likely but not guaranteed.
I can heroic as far as my heart desires.
Alright.
But
Fight
I
back.
think
There we
a
go.
good charge there and the fight going poorly with Bjorn might spell the end.
With an extra
Should be out.
CP,
Yeah, you're
anything's
fine.
possible.
I'll let you have that. We'll see what those warriors do over there.
Yeah.
Frankly, at this point,
Okay.
I'm, I actually have to commend the Spacewell player. I think he's actually.
He's playing. He's
He's-
doing his best. He is
he's
playing
doing his
very
best.
well, and he's keeping it a good sport. He's been a good sport about it.
Yes. But
He-
it's easier. It's easy to be a good sport at the beginning of a match. It's a lot harder once the fatigue sets in.
Yeah.
It's easy to
When you get to
grumpy.
the end of that round 3 and you've been playing for 8 hours.
3d6 psychic thing.
it's,
is that one of these guys or?
That's
Again,
the-
these,
the
like you said,
neurotherapy
these,
gives it out.
these guys have played a 3-hour round before.
And they have the
this,
Warlord
so
trait to give it
yeah.
out twice.
This is it. We're approaching, I believe, 5 hours of these guys playing Warhammer today. So
Just a lot of Warhammer.
Fall back at area.
that's beautiful.
I'm not saying it's a problem, but it is exhausting.
Yeah, we'll
Yes,
start with
these
him.
players
He's going to do a smite.
bring caffeine, but not too much. You don't want to get jitters.
Not get a 7. Why didn't we
Bad
get a
choices
7?
get
Yeah,
made.
yeah. Also, you don't want to have to be calling the judge every 10 minutes. Hey, can I go to the bathroom?
gotta go to the bathroom. But you know,
If you do, please do call for the judge.
yeah. It is one of those things where I always say
Next power,
bring
he's
some
gonna
snacks, make
do-
sure you're well fed.
You got to
Sure.
take care of yourself.
And hydrated.
Yes.
Drink water. Drink water.
You really got to take care of yourself on a long day
Yeah.
like this.
We'll do a psychic screen.
This stream sponsored by water
Mouse it.
because you need it. Drink
So you
it.
got a 7.
Please.
So it's going to do 3 mortal
Please.
wounds
Take care of
plus
yourself.
D3
Yes.
from psychic screen, so it's going to do 6 mortal wounds.
That's enough to kill them.
What is it? There's no better
Well, at least
performance
there's
enhancing
almost
drug than
6
sleep.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll
All
agree
right.
on that one too.
Now the
Take-
I wish I was better at it, but
Take care of yourself.
yeah. Nah,
Go. He's going to
that's
do
the thing.
onslaught first.
that is one of the
Get
biggest
advance
things to
and
learn. If you
charge.
are thinking about getting involved in
Goes
the
off.
tournament scene for any game, this one
he's gonna
is
use it on
included, but like any tournament
guys
scene,
here.
learn to take care of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Think about what you need to take with you,
Then-
plan it out, get it
He's gonna
packed
do a
the night
smite.
before, and
Who's
doing
get a
smite?
good night's sleep.
Nerf.
Don't be
Nerf.
rushing around in the
Gonna be
morning,
just
and
within range of those wolf
and make
warriors.
sure you get that sleep you need.
He has +1 to cast,
Take care of
so
yourself.
it's going to be an
You know,
11.
that's a.
Neat.
How could
gonna
that be
do
bad
D6.
advice?
Yeah.
There's 4
What's that old
wounds.
scout saying? A dehydrated,
Kill one dog.
hydrated scout's a happy scout, and
Yeah.
a dehydrated scout's a dead scout.
A dead scout.
Zone
Don't want to be the dead
do-
scout. Especially because that
Well,
means a
we'll
lot
do
of
next.
paperwork for the tournament
we'll do
organizer,
next.
and they're never happy about
Well,
that.
he just killed over, sir. Oh, I didn't earn any points. Oh no.
Goes off.
Now everyone's mad.
You'll give it to.
My,
That's gonna ruin my breakers because he didn't get to play
breakers!
round 5 or 6.
And then
He died.
and
Yes.
he's going to smite.
He didn't play.
7.
Uh,
Got an 8.
I mean, what kind of?
it's the grim darkness
Right.
of the stream.
We're playing 40k. It's kind of a grim humor thing anyway. Let's be real.
8 to smite.
That poor creep just played.
Yeah. They're more on the grim, less so on the humor. I was thinking about the orcs mostly.
Oh yeah.
No power to cast. Goes off.
That classic British black humor.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't care.
But we got zone throps going on. We have the Space Wolf player defiantly screaming, "We don't care!" Failed cast. Oh my
That might be worth
god.
rolling.
You only have the 1 CP though.
No, it makes you feel.
You might need it for the
The
charge.
instinct to root for the underdog here.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be a nice
I
thing.
need to drink my
Because if you don't make this charge, I'm just gonna shoot.
I swear that's
Yeah.
not why I
That
picked
is
the armies I
probably
picked.
That's fine.
You may think it is because I have
That's fine.
the armies I picked.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually
I swear that's not entirely why.
All right.
Yeah,
I think it's all
we played
cycles.
Night Lords
So,
in town,
Cool. shooting phase.
Not exactly playing the
Duck
big
and duck
guys in the
phase.
setting.
Doc and Doc.
I don't know,
He's gonna shoot
Tower
in
kinda
combat.
right
Assault
now.
weapons, so he's
Well,
No,
there's
not in the setting.
in the setting, no. In the tournament scene,
They'll hit.
listen. When I played the Tau,
Strength is
and I got
really
it,
high.
they were not.
Back
good.
in my
One
day.
free roll is a new battle round.
Nah,
it's not
I'm with you
really
there.
right.
I was
So-
So it's
back
not
there in
strength
fourth
16.
when we were like,
Strength 12, so 1 wound.
1 wound.
AP 5.
I hope this is enough because if
What's
you
the damage?
touch me,
5
you
damage.
touch
So
everything.
4 damage.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Killed him,
bad.
right?
No, I feel no pain, sir.
Those chain
yeah.
charges back and forth were brutal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He
Takes 3?
dies.
Yeah, there's dead.
It was that one smite that did it.
Yeah.
Does he explode?
Bjorn died to
That'd be
smite.
nice.
Bjorn
kill
is
that guy.
gone to the smite. Yeah. Did not
Did not
explode.
explode.
Did not take
No
the Hive
explosion.
Tyrant out with
All
it.
right.
I was really hoping I make like 2 saves.
Do their shooting at them.
All right.
D3 shots of the Venom Cannon. One shot,
One shot.
one hit,
Yeah.
one wound. Strength 8, AP3.
AP3.
It would be
4 up Storm Shield.
5 up, right?
4 up Storm Shield.
Oh, yeah, Storm Shield. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Storm Shield on
I
the
ignore
Surgeon.
you.
Yeah, you
Giving
don't
him
care.
an invul save to survive that,
Three
that
Death
shot.
Spitters.
Solid.
Shots. 3's to hit.
Get that 2 out of here.
And the rest of the shots from the
Five.
lighter
Tyranid
weapons.
Warriors only being a 25-point model.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
impressive. Do
Yep,
so much
so
work.
So
for it.
6 at
That's
AP2.
about the
AP2,
cost of
so
a
3 ups on the
Custodes.
Terminator,
you know.
1 damage?
Custodes aren't cheap.
Yeah, 1
You know, probably a little bit
3
more
ups on the
expensive.
Terminator.
Plenty more expensive than your average space.
Oh,
Marine.
wow.
Yeah,
Alright.
Not exactly comparable,
Alright.
but still 25 points for
that is.
in High Fleet Leviathan
Then
is very good.
-2, so
It's
4 ups on everyone else.
very strong.
They are incredibly efficient both on their
one guy dies. We'll take out
survivability
the
and their
grav cannon.
damage. They have solid guns. They're strength 5
Use the
P5,
CP,
which
do
means
shard lure them.
in combat
Shot
they're
him with
gonna
the synapse
win
creature,
a lot
I
of
can
the
roll
time.
Oh yeah, very
are you
impressive.
charging?
No, it's after they shoot. That's why I use the stratagem.
They're out of CP. Okay.
Tyranid players out of CP.
All right,
at this point. Command points are completely
Looks like
depleted.
he spent
Do I
it well,
want
though.
to
Right,
change? I
he
think I'll
has
change
wiped a lot of things off the map at this point. He's going to be able to pretty much
Yeah.
do what he needs to.
That was just a bulk up. So it makes the
Kind of,
charge at 9 now.
I predict a secure victory in this.
Make it a little
Tyranid
harder for
players'
you.
future. So let's see, we
I'll
got
fire these
easily
two guys over
3-4 units
Where'd
of
those two guys
Tyranid
come
warriors
from?
still in
Oh,
play.
right.
We
They
got that
ran over.
gargoyle squad
like,
down
what the hell?
there. And we still
Venom
got
Cannon,
2
do
hive
2
tyrants.
shots. One
Zone
shot.
throps are still in
Needs a
play.
4 to hit.
It's not looking good for the Space Marine player.
Did I
We'll
give
just
them
No.
say.
ones? No,
I
gave
think
it to
we're
them.
watching
You give it to
the
that group.
let's
and
wrap
this
up
group.
soon.
Turn 2.
Yep.
Bottom of
So
turn
no
2,
for
and we
that,
are
and
seeing
the
a
Death
near
Spitter.
board wipe from the on the Space Marine.
Yeah,
hits.
after combat, I think it'll be
One win.
the Thunderwolves and
AP2 on
the character support in it. Basically, all that's left
4
on
up
the board.
anyway.
And not
I'm fine.
Okay.
not say the Tyranid player's
Now
not
these guys
talented.
are
He is
shooting
not.
for-
Oh, he has played this
with
very
the
well.
Venom
He's
Cannon.
played this very
3
well.
shots.
He's doing a lot of really good strategy.
All
He's
hit.
doing
Strength
very
8.
great tactics here. So,
wound.
One wound.
and you really, the
Ah,
Tyranid abilities
I love
are
it.
only being amplified by the talent that we're
Loves it.
seeing
Death
here.
Spitters.
This guy, he's not being
One of
stupid.
ones.
He's
Bang,
playing,
bang.
making great choices here. So we're not just saying, hey,
Oh, and I
he's
get
just
one
riding
free
on the
reroll for
power of the
Leviathan.
Tyranids. He's doing a great job.
He is demonstrating the power of the
Demonstrating
Tyranids.
how dangerous these
That's
Tyranids
like
are in
5,
talented
so,
hands.
Yeah.
2 5s, so 4s.
And
6 saves,
you know, in the Space Wolf player, he's playing
To
great,
the Wolves.
but he is just getting overwhelmed here.
Four up.
I think
Yes.
some very powerful psychic phases are just tearing him apart, and his lack of
One guy's got
One guy's got one.
widespread feel no pain across his army, you know,
now these
which
tunes there for-
also to note, not a common thing for most armies to have. I mean, we were talking like
Cannon.
Custodes
shots of
are
Venom
pretty
Cannon.
much it.
Yeah.
Or who's going to be able to feel
they
that much
advance
feel no
to
pain
one
against
hit.
that much psychic
Certain
power?
builds of Drakari can bring quite a few.
All right, fort save. Nope. So that guy dies.
I feel like Sisters of Silence might be actually one of the most valuable things you can take as an Imperial right now.
Yeah,
No,
they're tough though.
this is
I
what
don't
I
think
have been. I
they
knew
don't
I
have a
was
lot
gonna do this, I
else
was
going
gonna
for
lose,
them,
4 saves.
and there's a lot of matchups
saves
where
for the
they're
Death
just
Spitters?
not impressive.
Now,
That
T3,
will
Strength
die out of
3.
AP.
Sure, you're going to be making your guys immune to psychic powers, but
One guy takes 2 wounds.
it's rough.
It,
It's rough
it
out
is
there.
either very powerful or very not, and
All right,
that
we're gonna go to.
you
Not
can't
to
always
mention
afford to take that in
There
this
you go.
game.
Not to mention the CP cost.
Try to
for
charge the
including that
Devastator.
guy.
Nine
Yeah.
balls. Yeah, let's go. Not a 9.
Not a 9. All right, charge in the back with the flank.
Yep.
Makes
Oh,
it-
look at that.
He's in.
Charging in the front with the wolves into the warriors.
Warriors into the wolves.
Yeah, the other way around.
Nope.
That's not gonna make it.
Oh,
Nice that
Warriors
charge.
failed to
Will not
charge.
make
Wow. Look at that.
So you get to go over here.
Yeah.
Thunderwolves,
me hard.
Thunderwolves are still
Falls
standing.
one, so you have 6 attacks.
Might be getting some
Did he
punching
kill anything
again.
in melee? Yeah, he did kill
We
it.
are
He's got
we
7
are
attacks.
incentivized for the Space Wolf player to keep
plus
playing
attack
till the
per
bitter end. I mean, he doesn't want to
2s or
hurt
1s.
previous players, you know, who've played against him and beat him if he's a good sport. But obviously also for his own ITC ranking, he doesn't want to give up too early. He wants to earn his points, get in there,
Okay, 7.
get his name on a board here.
Oh, okay.
No, that was 7. Sorry, you're right. I don't know what that.
I was like, where'd you get 8?
Yeah, I don't know. 7. HP.
Oh, this is the Hive Tyrant down in the bottom.
Terminator. 4. Nice.
Dead.
And
How about
3 total.
Maybe 4.
4, 6s for everyone else.
Here we go. I got a couple of 6s here.
And 4 guys dead.
Yep.
4 guys dead. He's got 2 men left.
2 more attacks that are damage 1.
Yeah.
They both hit.
All right.
7. They both wound. AP 3 on this
5. Ah, he's alive with 1 wound. Okay.
I'll,
Now, one heroic space will hold in that objective because he's upset.
Obsec. He's claiming that point. That's great for him.
8 minus 5.
But now he's got to take that morale test. And
need a 1.
Looking for a 1 for that insane
for a-
bravery.
good. You can always spend a CP.
2.
2
CP.
CP. Sorry, 2 CP.
Negative when you're owed.
Not willing to spend it, or he doesn't have it on him.
I wasn't in the center, so I don't get any points for that.
Oof.
Oof. Yeah.
We're looking like it.
I killed a character though last turn, so I should have gotten 1 more point because I killed one of your high turns.
Yep.
I'll just mark that on my.
Getting a point there.
1 point for this battle round.
Yes. And you got. Did you do second interrogation?
Got it.
You did.
This player
Make
is
you lose here, man.
No, you got 0 for R&D. It's fine.
Yeah.
apparently
The
this
points
player's
don't matter, as long as I
accidentally
win,
agreed to only
the
play
points
the
don't matter.
secondary.
Yeah, apparently.
We have
I
one
did-
player
I'm doing
who
this
hasn't
with
been
the
able to do
time guard,
R&D,
so I get,
and
3
another
for
player
that.
who
3,
keeps
yeah.
forgetting psychic interrogation exists.
Keeps forgetting just to do
I'm
his.
somehow still winning
secondary.
this. I don't have 2 right now. So turn 3.
Space Wolf player
over
surprised
there.
him.
Technically ahead.
Technically
But we're not
winning.
adding up no prisoners, so I think I would be winning with that. But
Yeah, no.
This
doesn't matter.
I'm
this
like,
is why
I
it's
say I'm
important to
winning
claim
at
your
the moment,
secondaries
but
because
Did any of
you
them
could be
round?
beating, you could be
No, that's
easily trouncing
They
someone
lost 2
and
guys.
be losing
So
this
they
game.
got paid.
Yeah. It is distinctly
2.
possible to
So,
not play the objectives well enough and
Okay,
lose a
yeah,
game
Yeah,
that
that's
you
fine. I
are.
love it.
Like I said, I have lost to someone I
Okay.
have tabled.
Cool.
Lost by like 17 points too. It was not close.
I have not
That's
a
a rough
lot
game.
left on the table.
Well,
You get 0 for
scored their
primary.
objectives
I get 0
early
for
and they got their
primary.
secondaries
I'm
all
gonna
done.
have
And
to,
delayed me long enough I couldn't get
Yeah.
back there to the points.
I mean, it
Just how it is.
happens.
Yep.
Somehow
Pin
I
me
have to
down.
kill this guy. Doesn't mean anything goes away. I'm not gonna win. This is no.
we can just call it if you want, or play it out. I don't know.
We're
I know we're on
discussing
stream,
it.
but,
We're
like-
bottom of round 2.
So stream knows there's battle
Seeing
points
how,
don't matter for this
you know,
tournament.
seeing
We
how
just
things are
don't
going,
matter.
So I'm like-
calling it.
I could play cagey and try, but I'm like, there's no point with all the smites and screams.
Yeah.
He's just gonna come down and chase me. So I could keep playing for the
I think we're
funsies of it,
negotiating
but
the
it's
end
not
of the
gonna
game.
matter.
We're handing
I can
players.
try to kill that and get some points, but again, it won't matter. So good game.
Okay. Oh, that's the game.
Yeah.
That's the
GG,
game.
Steve.
With the changes to battle points
of
not
course it
mattering, they decided that they were going to
going
call
into
it
Leviathan, I
there
was like,
Yeah.
because
Well,
it doesn't matter if he scores a few extra
it for
points
me.
anymore since we're using
just
opponent's
gonna
match win. It saves everybody some
it so
time and
that
lets
you
them,
won.
you know, decompress,
go
take a drink, or
back to back.
hopefully come talk to us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we're going to see
Yeah, what time
Larry
is this-
here
What's the next
here in a
battle
moment.
round?
Normally it would be at 5, but they were like a half an hour behind, so
Oh, we have an hour.
we're done like 2 hours early,
Yeah.
basically.
So
All
done.
right, well, time to go.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I was trying to pass it through this. Okay. Is there a way to tell me? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So that's that match.
That's that.
I have to say I was very impressed with the Space Wolves player. He did a good job.
Look, he did I think everything the Space Wolves could have asked him to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's just a tough matchup, and when the Tyranids are doing well and they're being played well, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. Like the Tyranid player said, it's hard when a faction can survive a Thunderwolf charge and then punch back.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to deal with. And Space
They-
Wolves, they're not the toughest faction, but they are a very hard-hitting faction. The fact
Yes.
that Tyranids can take that is a
and
testament.
dish it back is
It's very strong. All right. Yep, that would be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, we heard that.
Do we have their mics off the thing? Okay. I'm just asking.
What do we do to fill?
Our director told us to fill time.
Yeah.
How's the weather?
Actually, kind of hot.
It was a little. You know, when I woke up this morning, it was lovely outside, and by the time I got here to Westminster, I thought a tornado was coming in. It was kind of crazy. But as we saw, Space Wolves. You know, I haven't played against them a lot, so I'm not sitting here as like some kind of like, well,
Subject
they beat
matter
me,
expert.
they beat me a lot, so I gotta have really high impression of them. That obviously like they have to be really good in order to beat me. But I'm sitting here going, I've seen these guys in actual plays and stuff, or in tournaments. I've seen them do really good.
Yeah.
They're a strong army, and that player, I think he played them very, very well. And
you could tell he's practiced with them.
yeah,
he
knew exactly
he knew what he needed to do. He tried to do it.
He put his Thunderwolves in the back line, where
Tried
they
to
needed to
disrupt
be.
the plan.
And it just, those Tyranids were very tough, very hard, and a lot of mortal wounds. I believe we're going to be getting Larry in here to interview with us shortly, whenever he gets in and he has time. Obviously, it'd be fair for him to take a break, honestly.
Yeah.
Being honest,
He needs a minute. He needs a minute. That's fine. Looking forward to the rest of the event.
We'll see where things are. I mean, he did win first table. We might be seeing him again.
Yep, it's distinctly possible. That is another effect of the choosing not to do battle points. Mm-hmm. They are not pairing people by battle points either.
Right.
Which means it is random amongst people that have the same record.
Right.
Which means we are not guaranteed to see the same army show up there repeatedly, because it won't always be the top table. It won't always be the top 2 battle point earners on that table.
So maybe by tomorrow, by the last match, we might see Larry again. And
there's a decent chance.
If he keeps winning like he has been, we're likely to see him, but we'll see who's next.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Like, what do you think when you watch that match? Do you feel like what do you think was? And we'll obviously ask Larry this question. What do you think was the most valuable unit the Tyranids had? What do you think did the most?
I was very impressed, probably by the Maliceptor. It was hard to track where all of this psychic powers were coming from, but that Maliceptor was able to respond both to the Thunderwolves coming in, consolidating into them. It helped him push some psychic powers through, because I believe that was the source of the 3d6, and dealt a fair amount of smites and screams itself. It put out a lot of damage and really facilitated some of the other units to do what they needed to as well.
I mean, we saw at the end there, we saw those Hive Tyrants. I mean, just absolutely smashing units. Just one walked right up to a fully decked out unit of Space Wolves and took it out. I mean, just almost completely. I was really impressed by those. I think they definitely struck hard with. Hi, Larry.
Hello.
We're gonna be bringing you into camera.
Yeah, we'll get the camera on you. So we watched the game. That was impressive. I mean,
thank you.
Not just Tyranids are very strong right now.
Sure.
That High Fleet Leviathan is.
I have a lot going for me.
Oh yeah.
By playing.
But not to say that we watched how you brought those gargoyles down that left side. I thought about the spacing there and how you kind of kept that. What was your strategy there? Was that to keep the terrain benefit?
I wanted to make sure his outflankers didn't get my Neurothrope and Zoanthropes. And just really to space out where he could come in with the outflankers.
So that was absolutely a kind of
a screening play.
Correct.
Play. That makes a lot of sense.
That's why the Warriors went backwards. I want to make sure he could not come in behind me, because I didn't want to have to deal with a unit of Space Marines right behind me.
Great. We were talking about that where we were looking at him we were watching how the Space Marine player was playing, and he did a lot of what we thought were pretty good moves. Coming in there. So tell me, we didn't even get to see what the Venom Thropes could do. What was what's so great about Venom Thropes?
Against a melee army, I use them to screen. And that's what they did. They absorbed that attack so that my warriors were ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a little gimmick where they can make a unit fight last if I roll a 3 up, which I failed. So I rolled a 2. I'm like, okay, well, they could have maybe done something if they fought last, but that didn't happen. So other than that, they're mainly against shooters. Like, they give an aura of -1 to be hit. For all ranged weapons. Against Space Wolves, that doesn't do anything. So I just put them on the front and be like, yeah, if you want to charge them, go for it.
Okay.
You charge them, and I charge you back. And
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
just
fine with
trade them
that
off.
trade. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
So, what would you have said in not just for that battle, but like in general? What's your like most valuable unit in your army? Like, what would you?
It was
like,
the Maliceptor before they nerfed it a bit. It's still a good unit, but I think the most valuable is just all the warriors. Like,
just
the warriors in general.
like that critical mass of,
Yeah.
of just real tough, real
Right.
capable.
I try to screen them whenever I can, because normally you think the warriors are doing the screening because they have transhuman and everything, but for me, I'm like, especially against Space Marines, I use the gargoyles to screen them that one turn. So on turn 2, he had all that stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
And I went full in with one of my units of gargoyles, or one of my units of warriors and the Hive Tyrant. And so then I charged with the gargoyles on the left, knowing that I was going to wipe out the unit with the Hive Tyrant.
Yeah.
That gave them the ability to overrun after moving 6 inches with Highline and Consolidate. And with overrun, they can move another 12 inches, and that made that screen. So then there's no way for him, or very little chance of him, killing them with his shooting and then charging my warriors. So then my warriors are ready to react the next turn.
I was very impressed with a lot of your movements. I was like, wow, yeah, he's doing a great job, because it's easy for people to be like, Tyranids are so powerful right now, they just auto win, and I'm like, hey, they don't. You can mess up playing this game really
Positioning
easily.
is still very important, and thinking through that kind of like gargoyle play, I would never have thought of that. Granted, I'm less familiar with the Tyranids, but I would have expected the warriors to be doing the screening myself.
If I have more command points, another thing you can do with the gargoyles is there's a Leviathan stratagem that hardly anyone uses. It gives you an additional -1 AP in melee if you're within melee with 2 units. So you go in with like a warriors and a gargoyle unit. There's your 2 units -1 CP. Now your bone swords are AP 3.
Makes a lot of sense. Speaking of the command points, do you think your army's going to end up having to change a little bit?
It absolutely has to. I started with 4 command points with this army.
Oh my goodness.
I'm using 8 pre-game.
Yeah, your army's going to shift a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
No more pre-gaming.
Yeah, no more 3 Hive Tyrants.
Yeah.
And
I was about to
3
say,
relics and 3 warlocks.
Right, because Hive Tyrant 1 per...
1 per detachment.
So
So
each
each
one's gonna
additional
get hit
Hive Tyrant
hard.
has a 2 CP tax on it.
Right, that's going to hit hard.
Yeah.
So that's because I was looking at those guys and I was like, those Hive Tyrants were earning bang.
They're boss, yeah.
They're boss. Man.
The 2 flying ones both have relic melee weapons, and then the ground one has a relic shooting weapon, but he also has a good melee weapon because
yeah,
the
'cause
walking
the boats
ones get both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great. I love Hive Tyrants. But I was looking at, it was like 7 attacks and what was it, 2 extra, like 1 damage.
Yeah, so
attacks.
the one relic that was called the Maw Claws, he gets an additional attack base, so 6 attacks base, and then every time you kill a unit, you get an additional 1 for the rest of the game. That's why that last turn he had 7 attacks, because he killed a unit earlier.
Yeah.
And so then he just...
Yeah, I was as I was commenting, I was like, he just like walked into a whole unit of Space Marines and
Yeah.
just went,
Yeah.
I
So that one
was-
is good at killing Space Marines. The other one does mortal wounds on top whenever he wounds.
Right.
So that's what killed, like, Bajorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or not Bajorn, the other Space Marines, but...
Oh yeah. No, I always felt like Tyranids were, for a long time, were kind of underutilized. I think people were kind of, it's that hype card list, right?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
everyone uses.
I've been playing Tyranids for like 8 years. Like,
I think you're
I'm
like, they're
I'm
like
a
your main
dedicated
arm.
Tyranid.
Yeah, you're
player.
dedicated.
So
Okay,
I've been through all the phases of
You're no meta
grief
chaser.
with the
You're-
Tyranids.
You're like, it's my time in the sun, finally.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, excuse me. I think that what we're seeing right now, and admittedly, there's nerfs coming down the pike for your Tyranids. But do you feel like do you feel like in the future, like what would be the kind of nerfs you want to see if you're going to do that?
I think what
Like,
they did,
what
like,
would make it, like, in your mind?
what they did to nerf the Maliceptor, I think, was a good
Was
targeted
what they
nerf.
needed to
Like
do.
the Maliceptor is where I think he should be.
I've heard though they're going to increase his points now too, so that double nerf is basically going to get rid of him. So I don't like what they're doing that.
Yeah.
They do need to increase points just across the board. Like all of our medium-sized creatures have great profiles for their points.
For like 25 points
Yeah.
for
Warriors.
A warrior 25 points, and our upgrades cost nothing. Like all the weapons cost nothing except for the venom cannon and the barbed strangler.
That's so strong.
Okay.
Yeah. So you give them
so they're just
like,
incredibly
adrenal
efficient.
glands is 15 points for the whole unit. Doesn't matter how many there are.
Yeah.
So that gives them +1 strength and +1 move.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, and always the problem is you see this in tons of games, you know, and stuff like that, where people try to balance things. They're like, it needs to lose this, it needs to go up in cost, and like you watch people like they just tack on nerfs, and then the thing becomes unplayable.
Yeah.
You're staring at it, you're like, I can't.
And then
do that.
and then power creep happens, new codices come out, and now you can't compete.
Yeah,
Yes.
no,
You have to be real careful.
This is why I'm like, if you had one, what would it be? Because you know you don't want to see these things gone.
Yeah.
You just want to see them, you know.
Just slight points increases.
Yeah,
that's
that's
all.
it.
Just
That's
across the board, just do some point
Yeah.
increases, and that's all I want to see.
4 or 5 of them. Yeah.
And now what they're doing with the construction of armies, that's a nerf as well.
Oh, yeah.
I can't take 3 Hive Tyrants, I can't take all my relics.
It'll be interesting to see how aggressive they are with the nerfs at the same time that that's coming out, because they are definitely in danger of doing a thing that happens in a lot of games where they're like, they nerf a specific part of the game, but they also nerf a specific army. It happened a little bit, I think, with the Tau, not enough to like knock them out of contention, but there was nerfs to their points values and also nerfs to the indirect fire at the same time.
When they do both things at the same time.
You've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, the second thing I want to talk about was that psychic phase. Just the number of mortal wounds that got thrown out.
Yeah.
I mean,
This army does a lot of mortal wounds.
not to mention you got the 11, the super smite. You know, I was like, super smite.
Yeah.
So
I do rely a lot on the mortal wound output of the psychic phase, because you keep the Malice Scepter and Zone Thumbs back, and when they come in aggressively, that's when you pull them out and just melt whatever is there.
yeah, just lightning.
The synaptic imperatives are another finesse thing about Tyranids that are easy to screw up. It's like my first turn, I was trying to decide what to do, and I'm like, because of the objectives, he has to come out, which means I can be in melee on turn 1.
Yeah.
So that's when I
Right.
did the exploding 6s in melee, and that actually got me a lot of extra attacks.
Yeah, we were commenting about that. We were. I was like, wow, that's a really aggressive decision.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
I hadn't thought about the 4 objectives in the middle, the nature of
Yeah.
how those are set up rather than more dispersed like they are in some missions.
And then I had the warp shielding for his reprisal, because it's the beginning of the battle round when you change it, and he was first player.
So what was the secondary objective you kept forgetting to trigger?
Psychic Interrogation.
Yeah, that was what it was called.
Yeah, I normally would do like warp ritual, but I figured I wasn't really going to go for his characters that hard, so they would be around for me to interrogate. I just kept forgetting.
You were like, mortal wounds!
Like,
Oh.
it's hard to.
There's a lot to keep in your head.
In this tournament, also battle points don't really matter. So as long as you're winning, that's all that you need for this one, because they're not keeping track of the battle points.
Yeah.
So,
So, do you think with the change to the battle points, it changes what you prioritize in a secondary a lot?
for sure. Yeah, I go for the easier secondaries that don't get a lot of points necessarily.
Yeah, you're looking for the consistent 10
Yes.
or 12 instead of the, I can potentially get 15 here.
Yeah, it definitely changes which ones you pick.
Is that a change that you're in favor of, or how do you feel about that change and how it's going to affect the?
I think
current
I'm not in favor of forcing to be made to do that kind of change, but I am in favor of them changing the secondaries, like removing Stranglehold, and to the last to make it harder to max your secondaries, just because the secondaries in general are going to be more difficult, I think, with the new changes. But we'll see. Like, I'm in favor of more diverse, like tactical, like making choices every game instead of being, I'm taking Stranglehold every single time because you have to.
because it plays too well into the primary that you're already working for anyway.
Right.
So if you were to say, like, you know, your opponent, he took R&D and got literally nothing.
He got nothing. Yeah, he was going to do it once, and I'm like, you don't get any points if you only do it once. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the second one
I was
before
a
it
little
starts
surprised,
counting.
like, you know, and I was looking at how that, you know, that map is that diagonal, you know, which means that the deployment front line is going to be shorter than normal,
Yeah.
and the back line is going to be real deep. And I was kind of curious how he thought he was going to get attacked.
I don't know.
Just so many guys. I'm like, hey, that's got to be hard to do. You can't just.
I think maybe because it's diagonal, he was thinking he could get the
Touch
front
the
left
two
table quarter
corners.
first, and then the other quarter, and then his quarter. You get at least 3 of them done.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it turn 1, so that kind of.
Throws it all off.
It-
Yeah.
Well, it's it's an unusual kind of deployment. It's not super unusual, but I would say not the norm, not the straight across. And hindsight's 20.
Yeah.
Certainly. Do you play any other armies?
I have before.
You have before?
Yeah. I keep up with Grey Knights and I familiarize myself with a lot of
But
armies.
you're just really
But if I go to a tournament, I'm playing Tyranids.
You're playing team. Man. We're all, me and him are both Xeno players too, so
Yeah.
we're like, I play Tau mostly, and
My
every now and then Chaos Space Marines.
my teammate that I play against all the time plays Eldari and Drakari, mostly Drakari, so I'm very familiar with those lists. I played Harlequins in round 1. And
Oh yeah.
I kind of knew what was up, so I just
It does make the game go a lot
How
smoother.
did that go against Harlequins?
I don't rely on shooting at all, and I just hit everyone melee. He couldn't really do a whole lot. His Void Reavers just don't do much versus Transmid. He was one of the Warriors,
Yeah.
and
That punch hard kind of strategy.
and I used the -1 damage at key places whenever he's just shooting shuriken
Oh, yeah,
cannons.
that strategy. We had when you pulled that off against the Thunderwolf.
Yeah, I did it twice.
Yeah,
'cause
we
there
were,
was-
we were just like, ooh.
yeah.
That's such a
move.
huge difference.
Versus Thunderhammers, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it's taking them from that 3 wound to 2 wound, that break point
Yeah,
is
and that
so
one
big.
that one unit of 5, he only killed 3 of because of that, and then my 2 guys that were remaining killed his 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's without that stratagem that wouldn't happen.
So your warriors, what do you have them precisely equipped with? Because we can only kind of
Oh,
see
yes.
what they're equipped with.
They all have double bone swords, so they all have 4 attacks.
They're super melee.
Yeah, and they all have adrenal glands, so they're strength 8 in melee. AP 2 damage. And then they all have death spitters, except one has a venom cannon. And then I gave 2 of the units flesh hooks. So they were up in the building on the 2nd floor.
And that means they have no vertical.
That means they ignore vertical distances
Yeah.
when they move. And since they have adrenal glands, they have a 7-inch move. They can advance and charge with onslaught. So I was just keeping them back in reserves, and then when I needed, they just charge out.
Yeah,
They're
the,
such
the,
a
the rapid
good-
response.
Right.
It's that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I'm like, that's perfectly fine. That's super. I love that for warriors. I love
Yeah.
super customizable. Man, I remember back in like the 4th and 5th edition codex when you
Yeah.
could just like
Well,
tweak every part of them.
what's annoying about them for me is that bone swords cost the same as rending claws, and you will never take rending claws over bone swords.
Never.
Yeah.
No.
So all the different weapon options are all free, and they've been doing that with a lot of the new codexes. and
I get from a player who isn't pushing tournament play, that makes a lot of sense because it keeps it simple, it keeps it accessible, and it lets you experiment a little easier
Sure.
because you don't have to find the points. But I do think it comes at the cost of tournament diversity.
It
Yeah.
also that granularity gets lost. When you're just making everything free.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're talking about. I think they changed something about the Imperial Guard too, where none of their unit upgrades. cost
Yeah,
anything.
they none of their special weapons cost points now.
So it's just
That was a change in one of the balance data slates.
yeah,
so they can take their special weapons into their infantry squads for free.
some
Okay.
of the news from the Chaos Space Marines, those also
Similar deal?
Yeah, similar
Yeah.
deals coming down. So
So you just look at the options and go, this one is best in almost every single circumstance.
yeah,
Use that.
I'm just taking
At-
that.
at
I want
best you're
all
gonna have-
demon weapons, please.
At best, you're gonna have 2 options of I want this to fight big things, I want this to fight
Yeah.
lots of things.
Yeah.
And in the case of warriors, if you can get to strength 8 with just bone swords, that's big and little.
Yeah,
you never
then
need to
you
fight
just
How
them.
many
have-
how many attacks do they have? They have
They have 3 base, and then
Three
with
base.
double bone swords, they have
4.
+1, so they have 4.
They have 4. And you pack what? 3 in a squad, 6, 9 in a squad.
9
Get
at
up
the
to
max.
9. 5, so 5 is what I play with, because once you get to 6 or higher, it costs 2 command points to use the -1 damage.
That's why you were picking 5.
Yes.
That's great.
And
it's
then
relevant-
the blast
not that-
roll as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, and the blast rule. Not that it's as relevant on them as some other armies, but 5 is distinctly better than 6 for a lot of units.
Yeah, just for no inflection points, don't hit it.
Right.
You know?
And 5 is a sweet spot for R&D too, so
Mm-hmm.
if you want to do that.
Again, I really like what you did on the table. I think you did a great job doing playing them. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If there's what army do you not want to see? Is there a matchup that you are particularly scared of right now?
Aldari is tough.
That's
It depends on who's piloting it. It depends on who goes first. A lot can happen in a good Aldari matchup. But it's like, well, let's see what happens, you know.
Yeah.
So that's I think the army that I'm most scared of, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So like, so what is like when you say you don't know what can happen? Is it because there's so many aspect warriors and they can do like different things?
There's a huge variety in what they can do. Like I haven't fought the Hail of Doom list yet, and I know that's good, and it bypasses my transhuman.
Yeah.
If they get 6 to hit, they just wound.
They just wound.
Yeah. So there's that. Then there's infiltrators they can do, and I can't do much about it. So I just have to screen with my gargoyles, and if I go first, okay. If they go first, they can hit me pretty hard. If I don't, screen carefully.
Right.
You know?
I saw.
They can make you. They can just punish you for making a small mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was walking through and looking at different lists and kind of just browsing people's armies as they kind of just had them out in the trace. And I saw one guy with Eldar, and it was just tons of infantry. And then I saw another guy, and he had like 9 jet bikes.
Yeah, there's a huge variety in what they can do.
Okay, so you're just like, I don't know what I can prep for.
Right.
It's just too difficult to like. There's no consistent Eldar list.
Yeah, and the book is super thick, and like I've tried to read through it and understand it. I'm like, there's just too much here. My partner plays Darkari, so I know them really well, and he plays some Harlequins, but I just don't know Eldari that well. There's just so much to it.
Well, we got quite a few Eldar players here today, so might end up fighting them. So
looking forward to it.
Good luck with that. Well, Eldar. So last year, were you here last year?
Yes.
Okay. Jerry, you remember the Drukari mess that was last year?
Yes.
Man, it was a lot of guys.
I think last year I brought a Hierophant. I've brought a Hierophant here at least once. I don't remember which tournament it was for.
Yeah.
The big Titanic Tyranid. Yeah. I was just having fun. I think it was that was when Stampede was in play, so -1 damage to all the monsters and stuff.
Ran a bunch of Carnifexes and all those good things. So, are you from around here, or are you?
I'm from Virginia.
From Virginia?
Yeah, Fredericksburg. So I play at your hobby place down there. They have the GTs and stuff down there.
Great.
Yeah.
We just, because some people come here from far away.
Yeah,
So we're just like, where are you from? What's
Yeah.
going on?
There's a lot of
Your
people on
neck
the
of
East
woods?
Coast that come here. And you see them all over the place.
Oh yeah.
I went to Las Vegas Open this year too, and it's like, hey, I know you. Hey, I know you. Like we're all just like hanging out and having fun,
Fancy seeing you here.
Yeah. Coming all the way from East Coast everywhere.
That's great. I'm glad we can like get so many people out here. Oh man. So, well, I don't really. Is there anything you want to say to anybody or ask us? I'm sure you're just.
No.
I'm ready.
No, I'm good, man.
Go hang out. All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you with
Thanks
us.
for coming.
Thanks
Talking
so
to us.
much.
Yeah, thanks.
Good luck with your next games.
Thank you.
Good luck with the stream.
Oh, thanks.